Hello everybody, Dylan here. Now, last week we talked about some of the places Chris Chan went to try to find his sweetheart. And the weeks before that we talked about some of the places Chris Chan went to try and make money. This week we're going to be talking about some of the trolls. Now, I'm not going to go over the whole trolling sagas, I'm just going to talk about the individuals. Today we are going to be talking about Blanca Weiss. Now, Blanca Weiss was one of Chris's fake girlfriends online, and she was probably one of the first major ones to exist. Here's some quotes right here. Blanca is real. I talked to her. Yeah, she called me. So, as for the person who, as for the jerk who, posed with a kawaii kitsune name, if I knew who you were, I'd give you a kick in the balls. Message directly from Chris. And then here's another quote. Rest assured, she, Blanca, is not a troll, so nobody say otherwise. I have talked to her on webcam and video and, audio, and have heard her voice over her microphone. I love this redundant sentencing to my speakers and have, god damn it, Chris, you just had to go further. But that one's special because it was posted on my birthday. That was October 9th, 2008. I'm pretty sure I had a shit birthday that year. Blanca Weiss, aka Amy B. Chan or Kawaii Kitsune 123, was the identity assumed by various trolls who posed as Chris's sweetheart in order to get one thing, the Sonichu medallion. Now, the reason why people wanted the Sonichu medallion so bad is because Chris really said that it was important. Chris in the comic book said that it was part of an ancient prophecy and it gave him superpowers. Chris in real life said no one was going to get it ever, and the trolls took that as a challenge. So this was like the first attempt to get it, and it actually did end up succeeding later, and I'll show that video after I end this all. The group pulling the strings was a trio of YouTube trolls, two of them going by the handles Ricky Ricardo 123 and Nurse Iki-chan, talked to Chris via IM and telephone. I am goddamn so old. Respectively, the third, Icarus 69, received a package containing the medallion as well as an enclosed love letter, and upload the video of himself cutting it up and putting it into a pickle jar before setting it on fire. Cutting up and putting it into a pickle jar is not descriptive enough. He made it blow a pickle. He cut a mouth into it and then made it give a pickle a blowjob. Some argued that aside from the medallion destruction, the team behind the real Blanca, as opposed to Lord Silly Nipples, who impersonated her, the original group had created the identity, did nothing except keep Chris to themselves. That is true. They would really focus on having Chris to their own group, and when the fake Blanca showed up, they felt really offended by it. They're trolls who want lolcows to themselves. Unlike most usual trolls who are willing to share retards with the internet and everyone, these guys wanted Chris all to themselves. They wanted their operations to be the only ones. They wanted to be known for what they were doing. It's really fucking dumb, but that's just how they were. Telling Chris to not make videos, stopping him from releasing content, etc. Despite many people telling him Blanca was not real, and even after the medallion was destroyed on film, Chris still continued to believe she was real because she started talking to him in calls, and then he's like, well, she has a female voice and she can call me, so she has to be real. There can't be a female troll. He stated in the Kristen Weston Chandler interview that people reasonable for destroying the medallion simply lived near Blanca and intercepted in the mail. Yes, you sent it to Blanca and somehow the trolls found out and stole it from her rather than her being a troll. Brilliant, Chris, using that big brain of yours. Since the destruction of the medallions, the three trolls have largely faded into obscurity. Yes, they have. Blanca has faded into obscurity. It's really sad. The name Blanca Weiss is just a feminine version of the Spanish word for white, which is Blanca, and the German word for white, which is Weiss. And that's a weird S. German, what the fuck is going on with you? Like, what the fuck is going on with the German language? That doesn't even look like a letter. Blanca Weiss is literally just white female Oh, that's pretty hilarious. Her name is literally just white female. That's fucking hilarious. Chris' personal preference in sweethearts, yes. And Chris said that he knew Spanish and he couldn't figure that one out. So, yet again, Chris showing his superior intellect. CWCki. The trio were good friends and several members of the fried chicken trolling crew. That is the gayest name for a trolling op I've ever heard of, but let's read into this. A now defunct trolling group known for trolling various individuals and groups on YouTube. Really? They actually trolled other people? I didn't know that. Some photos were shown to the FCTC, who, I'm just going to call them fried chicken, I'm not using that abbreviation, who later posted the images onto Encyclopedia Dramatica after posting the group's watermark on them. Oh, it's so fucking gay. That shit still happens today, where like some fucking idiot will be doing something, they'll slap a giant watermark on it saying, yeah, this is my shit. I just don't like trolls like that. Fucking do it for the laugh of it. Don't do it for the recognition. It's fucking gay. It's really fucking gay when you just start... You just start slapping your name onto it and you're like, you better give me credit for my trolling. It's just so fucking dumb. And here's a quote from one of them. There was internal bullshit with the Chris Chan thing. Ricky, Blanca, and myself were pissed about the watermarks and the fact that everything was released before the troll was done yet. Oh, so Icarus said that he didn't agree with the watermarks. I don't know whether to believe him or not. The group itself later fell out due to internal conflict. It was shortly revived as Cool Troll Fighting Crew. I 100% believe that watermark was their idea. After reuniting, you just fucking renamed it to something even gayer than the first name. But this group was later disbanded. It should be. You're about as stupid as Chris coming up with names like that. As for Icarus, 69 himself, he went on to temporarily become an admin on the CWC, but after the controversy, this relationship broke off as well. So it seems like Icarus was a fucking liar who couldn't do anything correct. He still predictably attempts to revive or kill CWC trolling, and to this day still has Chris's medallions, one of which he offered to the former ED owner, Girl Vinyl, on the site's 5-year anniversary. That's so fucking lame. Why would he want it? Why would he/she want it? Like, not everyone cares about Chris. Chris gets a clue. On April 2010, Chris published a page on the Wikipedia with a list of many women he had known in his life. Blanca was conspicuously absent from the list, but he did mention her briefly in the entry on Sarah Jackson. Of all the sweethearts he had met online, Blanca and Sydney were apparently the only ones Chris had been able to successfully identify as trolls, more or less on his own. It should be noted though that while Chris might have figured out that Blanca was a troll, he still failed to realize that she wasn't a real person. In December 2009, Chris uploaded a correction of his ED page, and he wrote he had dumped Blanca's sorry ass after that misdeed. I had trusted her, so he still thought that she was a real woman, which he's not entirely wrong because one of the trolls was a woman. But I guess before I end this off, I'll show you some of these photos and then I'll play the video that happened to his medallions. So these are some of the photos that he believed was Blanca. This blonde woman here, which is Blanca Fake 01 JPEG, brilliant naming. This other blonde woman, that does kind of look like the same blonde woman. I actually know a girl that looks like that. And then you get this Asian looking woman. This Asian looking woman right here, she doesn't even look white. She has fucking black hair. Why would you think that's the same woman? And then yet again, another Asian looking woman. Why did Chris think that this was the same woman as the blonde woman? I have no fucking clue, but he thought this was Blanca at one point, and that's actually the Blanca that appeared in the comics, the fucking Asian. And she has blue eyes, despite the Asian woman having black eyes. Yeah, Blanca did get to be in the comics. She got to be in the Spring Break issue with her character Jigglyami. I love how Chris draws heels right here. Today we are talking about yet again another Chris Chan troll. This is one of the more important trolls throughout all of the trolling sagas. This is Clyde Cash. Now, if you've been following Chris for a while, you probably don't even need to know who Clyde Cash is, but for the guys who are just getting into Chris Chan, this one's pretty important. We'll start with this little quote. "Your butt's gonna be in trouble, Barbara Chandler to Clyde Cash." And then we have another quote. "Gone strong, that Clyde Cash." That's Chris to Clyde. I remember which video that was. That was Chris, I think that was Chris assaulting the clown doll, if I'm not mistaken. Clyde Cash, alias Greg Mays. That's Greg with 3 G's, by the way. 4th of July, 1976, is the leader of the Miscreants, which is a bad Metal Gear reference, and is often considered to be Chris's arch enemy, if you know about Chris Chan stuff. Out of all of the Chris Chan trolls, Clyde Cash remains quite possibly the most popular and notorious. In Chris's revised Encyclopedia Dramatica page, Clyde is referred to as the Starscream troll. Why? This is a reference to Transformers character named Starscream. Yeah, but why call him that? If he's like the head troll, why wouldn't you call him Megatron? I don't get that. Who would often switch sides to or plot to overthrow Megatron behind his back. Chris says that he believes Clyde Cash allegedly killed Blue Spike. That's because Clyde said he killed Blue Spike. But if Clyde's the one in charge of everything, why would he be Starscream? That makes no sense. It would be Megatron, but whatever. Ironically, despite Chris's constant demonizing of him, Clyde has warned him about several things that would later return to bite him in the ass. Yes, he did. Clyde actually did try to help Chris, and he told Blue Spike he was going too far with his trolling. Clyde isn't actually that bad of a guy, the Clyde that we heard in the recordings anyway. Such as his unwillingness to work, his spending habits, and poor treatment of women. This was years ago, and he was talking about the spending habits, and now Chris is like thousands upon thousands of dollars in debt. If he would have took Clyde's advice, maybe he could have avoided all of that. Even predicted Chris's innate desire to dress like a woman. Yes, Clyde actually knew quite a bit about Chris. He got up in Chris's head. This is the pic that Clyde gave for a photo of him. That's not him, that's a Guido. So just know that's not actually a picture of Clyde's face. So name, Clyde Cash, also known as Greg Mays. Date of birth, we already read that. Gender male, nationality American, okay. Race white, spouse Panda Halo, which is another Chris Chan troll. Children Penny Cash, siblings Ryan Cash, which I think that's the guy who killed himself, I'm pretty sure. Relatives Vivian G, cousin. So they made up this guy, and he has a lot of the other trolls related to him. Origins. Pro tip. Clyde Cash is a fake identity taken on by a bunch of trolls. The quickie treats it as if he was real because he was the Chris. It's also funnier that way. If you didn't know that without having being told, you're more autistic than Chris. I did know about that. A lot of these trolls are several people taking on one identity. That's just how trolling works. For the longest time, Clyde had no problems with Chris, although he disapproved of some of his content. He was pleased to see the joy the franchise had brought to his brother Ryan. And just know this is the backstory for the character. It's not the backstory for any real person. Every night before bed, Clyde would read Ryan the latest issue of Sonichu Adventure until Ryan had dozed off to sleep, usually within the first 3 pages. That's about how long it takes for me to fall asleep reading Sonichu. This changed when Chris announced that his usual knee-jerk fashion that he was going to stop drawing Sonichu comics. Clyde tried confronting the upset Ryan to no avail. One night in mid-December 2008, Clyde entered Ryan's bedroom intending to share a tray of freshly baked gingerbread men, because of course so wholesome, only to find his lifeless form of his brother swinging from the light fixture. He hung himself. The dark silhouette of his body threw ghostly shadows across the room. On the desk, Clyde found a note Apparently, the pain of not knowing whether Crystal would be released from the dark mirror was too much for the young Ryan to bear. Clyde screamed, but no sounds would come out. Collapsing to the floor, he swore her undying revenge on Christian Weston Chandler. The torment begins. Clyde's first act was to rape Chris's sweetheart, Panda Halo, but it did absolutely nothing to Chris, as he simply moved on to the next gal pal. If Panda Halo was a real person and Chris had actually been talking to her, I'm sure it would have turned out the same way. But yet you get a bunch of white knights in the chat going, "Oh my god, Christian isn't that bad of a guy." If your girlfriend got raped by someone and then decided to live with them out of Stockholm Syndrome, would you just give up? Do you just give up on them? That's... God, people just don't understand how Chris works in the head. If only they knew the type of person Chris could be if he had the ability to be that person. Chris believes that Clyde married Panda Halo and had one sent daughter named Penny. Then Clyde posed as Greg Mays, a web designer working for Nintendo, to gain access to Sonichu.net, holding the site for ransom. He told Chris to make a video proclaiming that he was gay. And then Chris was, he made a video and he said he was a Gabian, and Clyde's like, "What the fuck is a Gabian?" And he's like, he's a gay lesbian, he's a Gabian, which is kind of the first hints that Chris Chan would go on to call himself a lesbian rather than admit that he's gay. It was kind of showing all the way back then. That was like over a decade ago, and Chris was already showing that he'd rather call himself a lesbian or a trans person than admit that he's gay or a cross-dresser. He then told him he'd make a video declaring his straightness. Eventually, Chris regained access to the site. Striking again, Clyde worked with a troll and got rid of the domain. Chris, being the resilient hero, bought Sonichu.info. With the help of Panda Halo, Clyde managed to gain access again, because of course he did. Chris is that fucking helpless. It was around that time that Takashi Tezuka, yes, and Jay-Z were doing their Animal Crossing game project. Clyde then decided to make things more interesting by posing as Shigeru Miyamoto, yes, that's Shigeru Miyamoto, to destroy any chance of the project, teaming up with Julie to set up a mumble chat in which Chris could communicate with the true and honest Sonichu fans. Clyde stalked Julie with infiltrating these chats to confront Chris, and Clyde would act like he knew Julie. Yeah, it was really gay. I don't like the Clyde and Julie shit. It's not funny. It's just weird. That's just me though. Maybe I'm just not into the Clyde and Julie shit. Maybe it's because I have the hindsight of knowing that Julie is like a 13-year-old boy that I don't find it funny. But to each their own. He began throwing demands to Chris as to clean his room, learning from Jordan Peterson, I see, before Jordan Peterson was even telling people to do that. Chris, at the same time, also bought Sonichu and Rosachu.com. Clyde got access yet again because of course he did, this time with the help of Julie. In the end, it was revealed that Julie was a 13-year-old boy and that Clyde had staged the whole thing. Yeah, but he couldn't even keep the 13-year-old boy in check. Fucking Blue Spike started disobeying him and started doing things that he didn't want him to do. But Clyde did stand up to Blue Spike and told him to stop. But well after Chris had shoved a whole medallion up his ass. After that, he sent out his trusted Hebrew friend to scout out at Chris's whereabouts. The MIPS turned it's Robert Simmons the Fifth, I want to do a video on him too, into a troll and infiltrate Wesley Memorial United Baptist Church. That's a long fucking title. He then stole Chris's one and only date, Emily. When Ivy came along, he decided to continually harass her, and despite Chris making a few threats, Ivy eventually gave in, and rumors circulated about her killing herself. And that's why Ivy killed herself in the comics, well, offhandedly. Oh, and Clyde also hacked into the PSN a few times, but then Jack Thaddeus did one better. And to think all this was done to Chris not caring about the fan's tragic suicide, that being his brother. On 22nd of May 2009, the death of Clyde Cash by a shotgun wound to the head was reported to the miscreants. The incident was deemed a suicide, although some suspected foul play. So Clyde was dead at that point. In the comic, this is Clyde. He was a character in Sonichu. He was bald and he was broke because Clyde Cash, and Chris thought it'd be funny if he was bald and broke. Ha 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 ha. In the comic, Clyde is a villain working for Mary Lee Walsh. Apart from capturing Ivy, getting into a fight with Chris, he initially only appeared on the CWC music video Holding Out for a Hero, officially Sonichu Special Number 1. Not much is known about Clyde, other than he lives in a mansion and owns his own pickle gun and slander ray. So it's a pickle gun and a slander ray? That's too OP, he needs to be nerfed. He made his first appearance in the comic proper in Sonichu 10, which was the last issue of the original run of Sonichu. As 4centgarbage.com building is collapsing. Basically, in the comics, Chris wanted to kill off all the trolls. So for some of the trolls, he fucking staged his own 9/11 and blew up the 4centgarbage.com building with the trolls in it. And it was collapsing. And Clyde and Jack decided that they were gay. And they decided to embrace each other as the buildings collapsed and he died. So that's how he died in the comics. I don't think that's retconned either. He condemns Clyde and Jack for being homo trolls. When Beale escapes, he condemns the two for their actions, saying that being homo trolls are slandering and whatever. That's an artist's depiction of Jack and Clyde's final moments. Currently, after Clyde faked his death for reasons unknown, he came back with a vengeance. Chris wasn't very pleased. In 2009, when not baiting Liquid Chris for Hand of Casey, Chris spent his time trying to convince Clyde Cash, alias Greg Mays, or Greg Mays, alias Clyde Cash, depending on which name he remembers first, to face him in one-on-one battle. Chris recorded several feats of strength, though combination of Casey trying to get him into shape, and a desire to frighten Clyde Cash with his bulging muscles. Too bad Chris doesn't have any muscles. Chris had also a picture to blackmail Clyde, but ultimately nothing came from it other than a series of videos where Chris tries to torture Clyde. Clyde scoffed at the final video, however, because of the negative reaction to Sonichu Special Number 4. Chris in the Wikipedia mailbag made clear that he would sit and talk with Clyde to try to get him to stop harassing him. Eventually, Chris decided to revisit his old nemesis in 2010, believing he was the reason why he lost the heart of the Wallflower, which is another person I want to talk about later. In it, he's shown fighting Clyde, then pulling a knife and slitting Clyde's throat. What the fuck? As a warning to all the trolls. In another well-thought counter-trolling plan, Chris unsuccessfully attempted to scam Clyde into paying him $9,001 for destroying his own PS3. This almost fail-proof scheme was, however, foiled thanks to Sir Tito's vigilance. I want to talk about him too. He's pretty funny. In 2014, Chris drew art of him and Clyde making peace as some part of a commission. Notably, Chris completely screwed up Clyde's height, making him look much shorter than what he really is. And this is the photo of Chris and Clyde making peace with each other. Now, if I see some videos of Clyde that I want to play, I'll play them right here. That's it. That's all I wanted to talk about for Clyde Cash.
Fight!
Fair. Okay? Look, I'm trying to get my website back up. I'm just having troubles between the fact that my account was deactivated for a time, and I'm waiting for it to be reactivated from the people at Yahoo. I talked to them on the phone, so I know all about this, so what do you want, Clyde?
I'm trying to tell you that the people at Virginia Mental Health, they've been trying to take you away.
Well, I got news for you. My family is going to defend me, and I am not going to go into any institution. So you could just back off.
No, I'm trying to warn you. Look on your latest video. You're talking about being a fictional mayor of a fictional town known as Quickville. This is why they're after you.
Well, if they dare to come after me, they'll come after me in person. And until then, I'm not going to fret about it. Look, let me do this work, and I'll come on to Mumbo another time. So, unless Clyde had something else he wanted to say as another reason why he dragged me away from my work.
What work? Christ, man.
I'm trying to get the website back up.
That's not work. Nobody cares about your goddamn website, okay? Why don't you go back outside to the real world? That's what I've been trying to do.
Well,
When's the last time you went outside?
Well, I got news for you, Clyde. I'm going to be going back out there and actually find myself a woman locally after I get over this virus.
Face it, Chris, you're never going to find that woman.
Now, today we're going to be doing yet again another quickie reading. This quickie reading is going to be going over yet again another Chris Chan trolls as part of the Chris Chan trolling series. Today we're going to be talking about the infamous Jack Thaddeus. We start this off with a quote from Chris Chan saying, "Jack Thaddeus, give me back my PlayStation Network account, you expert hacker. You irrational expert motherfucking burn in hell hacker." That was Chris to Jack. Jack Thaddeus, born 12th of August 1985, is a troll responsible for various PSN-related trollings with Chris. He is also a true and honest homo. In August of 2011, Chris supposedly outed him as being none other than the famous internet lolcow ARH. I can't fucking say that name. I tried to read it so many times, I give up. You can see the name on the screen. You can make fun of me for not being able to read it. I am not going to fuck up reading that name over and over again. Get a name that actually makes fucking sense. A noted cosplayer, Jew, communist, and Aspergian. I'm just gonna call him Asperger whenever his name pops up because I don't want to fucking read that. PSN hacks. Jack had a sweeping victory in the seizure of multiple of Chris's PSN accounts, using them to blackmail Chris into dry humping his PS3 and singing "Okay to be Gay." This is yet again another reason why I think that the recent Chris humping his pillow singing All-Star was troll influenced, because Chris has done this before. So if it turns out that Chris didn't actually do that sincerely, just know I called it. Unimpressed by Chris's performance, he deleted them for the good of mankind, but not before they were archived. Jack worked with his daughter, Samantha Thaddeus, in order to break into Chandler's PSN accounts and possibly bring about the beginning of the Liquid Chris saga. Wikipedia advertisements. Now, just so you know, the Wikipedia was Chris's website documenting his life, not this website that I'm reading. There's a difference between the Wikipedia and the Quickie. In November of 2009, Jack purchased advertising space on the Wikipedia. One banner linked to a gay rights website, noting that the creator and the hero of Family Guy both supported gay rights. And we can see that on the side where it says Peter Griffin and Seth MacFarlane support gay rights, shouldn't you? Don't be naive. Click here to get all the facts. And using the hated word naive. Chris said that naive is worse than being called retarded. He really doesn't like being called naive. I doubt that he still holds this to this day, but that's what he was saying over a decade ago. While another advertisement showed Mexican vacations using an anthropomorphic cactus mascot. I guess that's a cactus. Kind of looks like a pickle to me, but I guess that's what they were going for. Chris was incensed by the desecration of his wiki and demanded that the ads be removed. Upon being told that Thaddeus was responsible, Chris declared, "I will deal with him myself." Whatever measures he took, though, they didn't do much because the original ads would soon be joined by many new banners, featuring pickles, homos, and other things Chris hates and fears. These ads would have stayed for a long time since Jack was a gentle and generous soul. Jack eventually leased some ad space to Mao, the webmaster of the Asperpedia. On the 25th of February 2010, this lease apparently concluded and Jack filled the website with dicks. Eventually, on the 18th of March 2010, Jack pulled his funding from the site, forcing the sysop to take down the site, and it came back up the next day under the rule of Maui, I don't fucking know. In the comics, Jack made his first appearance in Sonic True 10 along with Clyde Cash, who I talked about last time, and they were both in the 4 Cent building. It collapsed. They made love with each other as they died. Called out. On the 16th of August 2011, Chris claimed to have the docs of Jack and that his real name was the Asperger guy, that he lived in Pennsylvania, and that Jack was planning to have gender reassignment surgery, which he did in June of 2018. He demanded a video of apology from Jack/Asperger by the 10th of September 2011. The Asperger guy Chris is referring to is none other than Asperger, whatever his name is, because I don't care. A lolcow that has almost as big of a reputation as Chris himself. I don't know him and I don't care about him. This information was unsurprisingly fabricated, as for one, Jack and Asperger's voices only have a slight similarity to them. Regardless, Asperger and Chris, despite the animosity between the two, share many of the same traits and characteristics. A week later, he revealed that Jack was a communist into BDSM. It was at this point that Asperger had to respond, denouncing all the fake information Chris presented alongside with his own lolcowness. Chris still firmly believes the rumors and made another video with his usual homophobia. And yeah, that's funny that Chris became the troll, calling out this guy. And this guy was very similar to Chris Chan and did very similar things to Chris Chan, including becoming a tranny. So that's funny. It's almost like he's the Bizarro World Chris Chan. You can even see these two photos comparing them. I don't care about his name, and I don't think I'll ever talk about him because he's not my shtick. My niche is Sonic lolcows, and he's not a Sonic lolcow, as you can tell by his Naruto headband.
Fight!
Mark, I'm just replying to...
No, shut up. I'm pissed at you.
You know okay. Is it because I haven't picked up?
No, well, yes, that's actually... You get a point, okay? You get a gold star, just like you would if you were in a retard class, which you probably were in because, well, you're Chris. Anyways, so yeah, apparently you're all butthurt about people calling you, saying that you have Asperger's, which is pretty funny considering that, you know, it pisses you off.
Whatever.
So. What?
I'm like, whatever.
It's mislabeled. No, it's cute. It's cute. You think that Asperger's, people with Asperger's are trying to take the quote unquote limelight away from you people with autism. What? How? Why is that? That's like saying that people with cancer are trying to take the limelight away from people with AIDS. Although you'd probably like that, considering you hate the hell mouse.
Why they?
You know, a friend of mine has AIDS. He's gay.
No, it's bad for him, and he has my sympathy. He has my pity.
But he's gay, Chris.
I know. I assumed that because you said he had.
Oh,
gay.
you assumed
he had AIDS.
You assume that everybody that has AIDS is gay. Wow, Chris. Wow, that's way to fucking, fall into the fucking pit of stupid. A lot of people have AIDS, not just gay people. Actually, more straight people have AIDS than gay people. But anyways, I'm pissed at you for multiple reasons. First of all, the comic sucks. Second of all, the video you did sucks. Vivian's been yelling at me saying that I'm interfering. I didn't do shit. Okay? So, that bitch is crazy. So, Also, you didn't fucking answer my letter that I sent to you.
Well, I haven't found your letter.
I told
in the
you.
Mailbag and
You put it in the rejected, you dumb shit. Because,
I wasn't the rejected bag.
Okay.
I did not find anything from Jack from you.
I told you it was in the name David Crass. You really think I'm stupid enough to put my name as Jack Thaddeus?
Oh wait, okay, I just found it.
Now read it out to me.
Found it.
Read it out to me.
Okay, dear Chris, why is Rose Shoe so useless?
Now answer it. Why is she so useless?
Well, she is not useless.
Okay, so what did she do in the last comic? In this comic right here?
She took down some punished slabs and some jerk cops.
Everybody else is doing
that.
For lightning. No, and then she got kidnapped. How is it that she's able to apparently fight these people, and then suddenly get kidnapped.
It just happened. It happened from behind her. She does not have eyes in the back of her head.
She got taken from behind. I see. That's also Punish Slavs. That's kind of Slavs. You know that Slavs are an ethnic group. That's kind of.
Well,
I'm just saying, Chris.
Would you rather call it a slave?
Yes, that might be nice. That might be nice. What, you think that that slave has suddenly become a bad word? It makes more sense, Chris, if they're fucking... God damn it. You know what? You should be talking to Vivian about this shit. Because I'm just saying. I mean... But anyways, why is Rosa Chu not a useless piece of shit? And also, why is your plot so fucking convoluted and unnecessarily complicated? You make characters, and then you retcon them into the fucking story, and then they disappear. They play no role.
They do play a role. They helped in defending the city of Quickville.
That's not a fucking... Okay, you seem to have a problem with storytelling. Quickville, the defense of Quickville doesn't mean shit if there's no story, and you need certain main characters. A bunch of fucking secondary characters don't do shit.
Well, Sancho is the main. Sancho and Rochu are the main characters.
Then why do you have so many fucking other characters? The only character I like is Punchy Sancho, and that's because he reminds me of Clyde. What?
Nothing. Anyway.
People told you that picture of that Guido wasn't Clyde, but you didn't listen. Remember back then?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was just that was actually fucking comedy gold, man. I'm proud of you for not listening to, advice of other people and, just being the dumb shit that you are and just making that video of you having a picture of a Guido from the Jersey Shore. Oh, you're a funny guy, Chris. You can, I'm not hanging up. We're having our talk right now, Chris. So don't fucking try and rush me, okay?
All right.
Because I can hear you, fucking shifting around and, going, like you're fucking getting tortured, okay? So don't get antsy with me.
I'm not making any noises.
I hear you. I hear you, Chris.
You're listening to a radio in the background.
Why? Who the fuck still listens to radio? I mean, I listen to NPR, but, otherwise, who the fuck cares?
No, that's John Tesh.
Who the fuck is John Tesh? Sounds like a fag. Anyways. Oh, you fucker. Anyways, God. Parkour. You seem to really not understand parkour. You really don't seem to understand. You know what? Yeah, I don't. Why don't you explain stuff to me, Chris? I'd like to know what you think would be passing as parkour.
I do not understand the question.
That was actually pretty funny. What is parkour?
Parkour, to my interpretation, being the style of running from one point to another, yes, with jumps, and along the walls and other things.
You interpreted it wrong. You got when you had the jumping on walls and shit. But then again, what you said you were doing was parquet, which parquet is a brand of butter.
Today we are going to be doing another quickie reading, and we are going to be talking about yet again another troll. So if your friends are curious about the whole Chris Chan shit and they want to know about the trolls behind it, recommend them to this series because I will be discussing all of the popular Chris Chan trolls. And today we are talking about the main troll according to Chris, Jason Kendrick Howell. Now, Chris considered him the main troll at one point, but personally I don't take Chris's opinions too seriously. Chris also thought that the guy who owned the game place was the main troll, and that Megan could be one of the main trolls. I don't trust Chris's opinions on things. In my opinion, Clyde Cash is still the main troll. He actually organized the gay ops behind trolling Chris. He was actually around for more years than Jason Kinder-Cowell and achieved more than Jason Kinder-Cowell. The reason why Chris remembers Jason is because Jason made his ED page. That's it. So there's not actually a lot to talk about, but I'll try and make it entertaining regardless. We get a quote from Chris Chan here. It says, "I pray to God and Jesus to kill Jason Kinder-Cowell." Chris Chan telling his Lord and Savior to kill someone, yet again showing Chris's kindness and his understanding for humanity. He definitely doesn't hate people. He's definitely not a bitter person who would destroy people if he had the ability to do it. He's a really nice person, I swear. But this is Chris yet again referring to God and Jesus as two separate people rather than one and the same, because Chris doesn't understand how Christianity works despite being Christian. Jason Kinder-Cowell is the original creator of the Chris Chan ED page. Chris wanted to call the jerk-offs on Hal for allegedly having sex with an underage girl, Kathleen. Spoiler, Hal never did have the underage sex. Hal goes by Liquid Snake on 4chan's V. According to Chris, is also the dork of ages, a phrase stolen from American Dad. Of course, Chris, ripping off American Dad and Family Guy. This is Jason as he appears in the comics. He looks like Emperor Palpatine, except for he's got one eyeball, and that's his sex slave, who also appeared in the comics label as a sex slave, despite Chris saying the comics was made for children. In real life, after Chris discovered the ED page had some email correspondence with Jason, from which Chris got Jason's phone number, Chris later used the phone number to find which city Jason lived in, as well as tracing down his MySpace. I'm shocked Chris was able to do that on his own, where he found Kathleen. By looking at Jason's friend list, Chris made the assumption that Kathleen was Jason's girlfriend, because of course that's how girlfriends work. If you're friends with any girl, that's your girlfriend now. That's how Chris sees it. And Jason has lots of sex with her, which combined with Kathleen's status of being a 17-year-old, led Chris to the accusation of Jason having underage sex. So Chris goes on someone's MySpace page, sees that they're friends with an underage girl, and then immediately jumps to pedo accusations. But yet everyone's willing to defend Chris Chan. Everyone's willing to give Chris Chan benefit of the doubt, but Chris would never give you that benefit of the doubt. If Chris Chan hates you, he will do anything to destroy you. But people can keep white knighting him if they want to. Chris also took note of the background image on Jason's MySpace page, and based on Jason's appearance and the comic upon that picture. This is the picture, by the way, is Jason wearing an eye patch in real life, because of course a lot of Chris Chan trolls do take influence from Metal Gear. But then again, a lot of Darkside Phil trolls also take influence from Metal Gear. I don't know what's up with Metal Gear and trolling, but a lot of trolls do that. I guess it explains the ridiculous troll ops that happen. They want to try to imitate some ridiculous shit seen in a video game. After Jason's inclusion in the comic, Chris exchanged some more emails with him, but it soon came to a hold. About a year later, Chris's Sonichu site was hacked by Clyde Cash. Assuming that it was Jason behind the deed, responded by calling him and making the infamous "I'll break you dead" threat. If I can find the video associated with that, I'll play it at the end. And Jason eventually joined forces with Vivian G, recording his own voice for the audiobooks, which if those still exist, you should check them out, the Sonichu audiobooks. He also provided commentary for the official audiobooks, though he didn't so much as comment on the video books so much as he just rambled on about Chris Chan's history with 4chan and ED. In Sonichu, Jason appears in Sonichu 8 in the episode Rage Against the Garbage, which is where Rosachu fucking strips down and beats the shit out of him. As the episode's primary antagonist, he appears reside Forsen Garbage Building, which is the one that collapses and he escapes from before it does. The 72nd floor, because 72 is whatever, fucking 666, evil, blah blah blah. Chris is very generic with his writing. Because he's evil, even though the actual number of the beast is 616. Chris doesn't know anything about the Bible at all. Jason wears a cloak for most of the time. The eye patch, headband, and hair color sparks some curiosity and confusion amongst the trolls, considering that it is almost a blatant reference to Big Boss from the Metal Gear series. Some were worried that Chris has actually played Metal Gear Solid, and was ripping it off. However, it was revealed later by Jason himself that he actually sent Chris a photograph of himself wearing an eye patch. Jason also tried to send Chris the first disc of Metal Gear Solid 3, but due to Chris's male paranoia at the time, it was returned to sender. Very tragic. Sonichu and Rosachu confront Jason and Kathleen over the images featured on the website. Rosachu's true and honest genitalia. After refusing to take it down, following Sonichu's shitty and meaningless speech, Sonichu attempts to fight Jason, only to have his furry ass kicked by Jason's dark force powers. Rosachu, as the Incredible Lioness, then face rapes him, and nearly to death, she hops on his face with her thighs and beat him almost to death. A move stolen from Keko Kamen. I don't fucking know what the fuck that is. But the dark forces kept him alive. Later on in Sonic 10, Jason is seen with Jack, Thaddeus, and Beale. The building starts to fall apart and then he runs away because of course he did. So technically he's still alive in the Sonic 2 universe. When the building starts to fall down, he calls them gay wads and flies off with Kathleen at his side to his 2-story house in the suburbs. What a very mediocre end to him. In the video released on the 30th of October 2010, Chris presents a revised version ending of Sonic 10, which he reveals the couple broke up when Kathleen cheated on him with their secretary, of course, and she later went on to maximum security prison for smoking pot. Really? Oh yeah, I forgot. Smoking pot and tobacco is one of the biggest crimes in Chris Chan's world. It will get you sent to prison, where she shares a cell with Mary Lee Walsh. Jason supposedly dies off screen in a car crash. Of course it's a fucking car crash. Chris, what the fuck is up with you and the car crashes?
Attention, all Sonic fans on the internet who do not hate me, Christian Weston Chandler, for I have an important message for y'all. If y'all would actually like me to bring up new stuff for Sonic and conclude the stories, you can do so by having that Encyclopedia Dramatica page taken down so that I can feel more comfortable in drawing and coloring the comics that y'all have grown to love. Not counting those who are giving me all the hate. But on that note, I have the bigger update. If you want to send all your complaints for me not doing the work that I should be doing, you can send every last complaint to the one called Jason Kendrick Howe, also known as How Games or Liquid Snake, for he is, and I quote in an email he sent me, the creator of the Encyclopedia Dramatica ED page for me. And he states further, my, you seem rather angry about it in your last YouTube video. A few months ago, you asked me why I made the page for you. My reason? You were too damn funny to ignore. Also, the page will not be brought down. Toodles. He is a dork of ages. Y'all should be sending every last complaint and hater toward rain out upon him. Send him every last email you can. Shower him with as much hate as possible until that Encyclopedia Dramatica page is taken down along with him. And again, the email address. Send all your hatred to him. Every last ounce. Because he is the man to complain to, for he is the one who created that dang page. And that's for you, Jason Kendrick Howe. As sure as I am to get at least 1 ounce of vagina, I have your number and you're going down.
First saved message. Jason Kendrick Howe, you bastard! Bastard! You hacked into everything! You have driven me so beyond the wall I can't even describe it! You love me now, but I pray you dead! Goodbye!
Today we are going to be reading yet again another quickie article, and this is going to be yet again another part of the troll series of videos. Today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite trolls, Jimmy Hill. I like Jimmy Hill just because of how random the shit involving him is. We've got a quote from Chris. Jimmy Hill is a thief, an imposter. Do not buy his imposter Sonichu crap. Jimmy Hill, 22nd of July, 1928 to December 19th, 2015, so I guess he's dead now, was a British soccer presentator known for hosting BBC series March of the Day from 1973 to 1988. An unknown person used this alias of Jimmy to troll Chris, claiming to be the one true creator of Sonichu and Rosachu, selling counterfeit Sonichu merchandise and aiming to launch his own comic in Europe around September of 2008. Jimmy Hill's work. Jimmy Hill's variation of Sonichu was a homo, with Blake his boyfriend and Rosachu his gal pal, using Chris's lingos. He revised Mary Lee Walsh as the mother and Jimmy Hill as the father. What the fuck? And battled Chris Chan's giant jerk bot. Hill also sold official merchandise, including a muscle brawl suitable for geriatric females and overweight men who are uncertain about their sexuality, that being Chris. And this is an image from the popular Sonichu anime, which was being shown in Europe for sure. Oh no, Chris Chu's giant jerkbot is heading straight for the city, and you can see Sonichu with his arms flailing, showing that he is a homo. And then here's another scene. Sonichu, as your true original creator, I command you to zap that wanker. I fucking love how much effort was put into this. Sure thing, daddy. We can see Sonichu doing extremely homoerotic poses, and he has a fucking earring showing that he's gay. He has bondage gear on like Mr. Slave from South Park. And then here's the giant robot they fought. Thank God that penis is censored. This is one of the ads that actually started off the Jimmy Hill saga. It's a photoshopped picture of Sonic. It's one of the Sonic Adventure toys, and you can even still see the blue around the trim because they don't know how to use Photoshop correctly. You can actually still see the original colors underneath. But yeah, Chris thought that this was real. Here's the page showing the ad in a comic book. You can tell that's Photoshop too, seeing how that resolution is higher than the actual photo's resolution, and it doesn't even blend well. But they tricked Chris all right. And then this was made. You can see that the text here is smaller and blurrier. Meanwhile, the text here they obviously edited is larger. Chris fell for that. And then what is this page? Yet again, more of Chris Chan's shit. God damn it, Chris, you're so dumb. This is boxes of Jimmy Hill's Chris Chan DVD. I might play that one day if I ever feel like killing myself. He took Chris's Yep on One TV DVD and then resold it, and he dubbed over it. So that's pretty funny, actually. This is the box for the Jimmy Hill Sonichu video game. Some great shit there. And Chris responds. In September of 2008, Chris first responded to the unauthorized merch sales. I'll be playing that video if I can find it. Next month, Chris raged more openly against Jimmy Hill, pointing out that Hill's artwork was an obvious ripoff of his, and ignoring that he is not one to talk about regarding ripoffs. He and Panda Halo planned to sue Jimmy, and when she said, "I hope somebody cuts off his penis in IRC," Chris made his famous statement, "I hope he loses his duck." Chris didn't want to say dick, so he said duck. His fans at ED left a sign reading Encyclopedia Dramatica, Heart Jimmy Hill on Chris's lawn, and Jimmy Hill would be kind of like a little precursor to Liquid Chris, because Jimmy Hill said that he was the real creator of Sonichu, and then Liquid Chris would also do the same thing. So some of the trolling events are very similar, and that's just what happens with Chris Chan trolling. People rip each other off quite a bit, which is yet again why I say that some of the modern stuff that Chris Chan is doing is signs that he's being trolled again, and that it's not actual things that he's doing on his own. Like, I don't think Chris is actually doing this shit because he wants to. I think someone's getting him to do this wacky shit he's been doing recently. They put that sign on Chris's lawn Halloween 2008. A year later, he tore up the sign on YouTube. It took him a year to tear up the sign. During the Miyamoto saga, Chris grandiosely stated, "I declare another step forward in the Sonichu game project and the downfall of that imposter, Jimmy Hill. I have also informed them of Sarah Mitchell's message of Sega of Japan leaning to pay the imposter, but Takashi will most certainly step in and avert this mistake from being made. Then hopefully, with their help, I'll be able to claim the copyrights in the UK. Yes, he actually thought Jimmy Hill had the copyrights of Sonichu in the UK, so Chris got the copyrights of Sonichu in the US. Chris Chan has the word Sonichu copyrighted. That should have been mine in the first place. I already had them from Virginia Library of Congress. So yes, that's him confirming that he does have it. By February 2009, Jimmy's site has gone quiet and Chris decided he was no longer a threat. But when amending the Chris Chan ED page, Chris enraged by the idea of Jimmy becoming the mayor of Quickville. So Chris Chan doesn't like Jimmy, he doesn't want to be the mayor of Quickville, and this is Chris Chan actually featuring him in the comics. And now for something completely different. Jimmy Hill's smiling, then he gets shot with a Kamehameha, and then it says Dinsdale, and then he says, "Raw for my reef," and then Bugs Bunny appears and said, "You deserved that, you thieving imposter." Bugs Bunny being totally in character, by the way. Sonichu shaking his fist saying Jimmy for no reason. And then it says, "Jimmy Hill is an imposter and a thief. Do not buy false Sonichu merchandise. Only buy true Sonichu merchandise." So yeah, that was everything I have on Jimmy Hill.
Mr. Jimmy Hill. Mr. Jimmy Hill. As y'all may know about him, he has perpetrated the rights of Sonichu for myself. As y'all well know, for the longest time now, that I am the original owner and creator of Sonichu and Roastchu. This imposter is blatantly copying everything note for note from me. And it all started, from my point of view, upon my knowledge, the magazine advert for his so-called action figure. I mean, you take a good look at that. Take a look at that. Because all that is just this Sonic the Hedgehog action figure custom painted. I can easily custom paint this to look like that. With acrylic paint even. So simple. And it's so crappy too. The next thing I should talk about, alright. His website. Y'all know the official and original Sonichu site logo I've had on there for the longest time. But then you compare that to his mockery. Can you believe that? It's crappy. It's stupid. And then look at the original comic cover for my first comic book. Then look at his mockery. So similar. This guy can't even be original, and yet he parodied himself on Monty Python's Flying Circus. And now for something completely different. The DVD. You all see? I told y'all about the footage that was probably up on YouTube between the various things. But this guy, he blatantly copied that as well. And all he did was take every footage that was originated from this DVD and dubbed his voice just over my name. So instead of me saying Christian Weston Chandler, he just dubbed us over each side by saying Jimmy Hill. And even more, something completely different. It even says on the bottom here, the part of Jimmy Hill is played by an actor. An actor. Look at that freaking cover. It's more based on my original comic cover than the original DVD. Anyway, do not buy from Jimmy Hill. He's a fraud, a phony. Is there anything else I want to talk about him? Oh yeah, and if y'all may well be aware of, these were the first two Sonichu site logos that were originally up there throughout the evolution of the Sonichu site. The original two images. Alright, and now the third and final issue. The internet bullies. You bullies, I know y'all are afraid of me. Because without me, y'all would have nobody to pick on at this point. But you know what? There are so many famous movie stars, so many famous icons, that y'all could just pick on easy enough. But you know what? No matter how many times you direct your influences towards me, I'm just ignoring you. Because basically all you're doing is basically being unheard of. You're basically talking to a brick wall. And I am just blatantly ignoring you hands down. So you may as well just give up. Your opinions and voices are not being heard. You're not scaring me. Y'all are not scaring Blanca. You're scaring nobody, misters. It's time to face facts, misters and misses.
Chris, do what I want, or I'm not going to send Julie over there. How about that? That's a good boy.
No, you sending Julie over here.
No. If you do what I want, there are two things I want. First, this is the easy one. Shout at the top of your lungs, Billy Mays is the new mayor of Quickville. Come on. Do it.
Billy Mays is the new mayor of Quickville.
Louder, you fucking pussy.
Billy Mays is the new mayor of Quickville.
Stop saying it in your fucking dumbass voice, you stupid bitch. I'm not going to send Julie over there if you use that voice again.
Billy Mays is the new mayor of Quickville.
Yeah, and also say that Kristen Chandler will be thrown in jail. Quickville jail.
And Christian Chandler will be thrown in Quickville jail.
Where he will be raped by a bunch of niggers. Say this one really loud.
He will be raped by a bunch of niggos.
No, say niggers, you stupid twat.
Niggers.
Louder.
Niggers.
Louder.
Don't trust them
No.
niggers over there.
No, shut up. You ruined that fucking show.
Now today we're going to be doing yet again another troll video. This is going to be talking about Billy Mays. Now just so you know in advance, I am going to be talking about every single Christian troll, all of the major ones. So if you're waiting for something like the Man in the Pickle Suit or Liquid Chris or D-Stex, I will eventually get to them. I'm trying to get to them as soon as possible. But today we're going to be talking about Billy Mays. Now just so you know in advance, this is Chris Chan's version of Billy Mays, and just like Chris Chan's version of Miyamoto or Jay-Z, this has nothing to do with the real guy. It's just people impersonating him. I hate breaking the fourth wall to talk down to you guys, but unfortunately some younger people do watch these streams and they think, oh my god, was Billy Mays actually involved? And no, he wasn't. But let's just have fun and call him Billy Mays anyway. Billy Mays was born on July 20th, 1958 and died on June 28th, 2009, pretty close to his birthday. He was a TV advertising man turned internet troll. He was a great man and a true patriot, as well as the true and honest mayor of Quickville. Now, for those of you who don't know, the trolls said that Billy Mays was the mayor of Quickville, and Chris Chan actually got Billy Mays to be the stand-in mayor of Quickville while he was trapped in the time void. So that's where the whole Billy Mays is the mayor thing comes from. The trolls wanted to call him mayor, and he was actually kind of mayor in the comics, even if Chris says otherwise. Now, from the 3rd of March 2009 until his untimely and highly suspicious death, Billy Mays actually died during the troll op with the Billy Mays characters, so being resourceful, they worked that into the plot and tried to say Chris murdered Billy Mays. We'll get to that in a second. Provided both epic lulls and wisdom in the hashtag Sonichu and PVCC during his noble lifetime. He was famous for his signature all caps style. They would type all caps because Billy Mays was known for being very loud. So to imitate him raising his voice, they would type all caps. And I like this photo of Billy Mays they have here. I don't know if I read that quote, so I'm gonna read this quote just in case I didn't. No victory, no defeat. The survivor will carry on the fight. It's our destiny. Billy Mays' final statement to the Quickie. What a proud man. History. His first order of business was adult partying and promised that everyone will go home smoky. He stated that the roads will pour cheap beer and cartons of cigarettes. He said that because Chris Chan hates both drinking and smoking at the time. He considered drinking and smoking to be some of the worst crimes you could commit, and he'd give you the worst punishments that he could think of if you were caught doing either of these in Quickville. Nothing that poor citizens of Quickville deserve a week of drunken stupor. During his short reign as mayor, Billy Mays instituted several groundbreaking reforms and was loved by all, with record-breaking 99% approval rating. Citation needed. I love that it said citation needed, acting like this is real, whatever. Sadly, Quickville's era of prosperity was quick to end after only a few months. Murder. On the 28th of July 2009, Billy Mays was found dead in his mansion in Tampa, where he resided, after suffering several assassination attempts by various hitmen, allegedly under the employment of Kristen Weston Chandler. That true cause of his death is unknown, but his death was suspiciously close to Clyde Cash's apparent death on the 22nd of May 2009. In a captain's log, stardate July 1st, 2009, Chris claims that he didn't kill Billy, but rather that Billy was a victim of a fatal heart attack. In Roland, okay, I actually want to talk about that. Chris did say that he didn't kill Billy Mays and that he was the victim of a heart attack, but then all that did was get the trolls to say that Chris Chan was Kira and that he wrote Billy Mays' name in the notebook, in the death note, so then Billy Mays would die of a heart attack, so then Chris Chan would still be a murderer. The trolls would just fuck with Chris in so many different ways, and he had to say that he didn't have a death note. The 17th of July 2009, Chris talked about the construction of the Billy Mays Tower in Quickville as a memorial to his dead bodyguard. In Sonichu, number 9, Billy Mays fails to free Ivy when she is strangled by an elevator wires. The slickness of the walls keep him from climbing up to save her. However, the walls of text and general bad writing led to some confusion and the belief that he had also died in the comic. In Chris's biography page on the Wikipedia, he lists Billy Mays as a non-canon character, despite his appearance in the central episodes of the comics. So he's saying that Billy Mays didn't appear in the comics, even though Billy Mays did appear in the comics. That makes no fucking sense. Post-death, in his Rollin' and Trollin' video, Chris laments the death of his bodyguard, Billy Mays, and announces the near completion of the Billy Mays Tower. That a skyscraper could have been constructed so quickly after Billy Mays' death is suspicious. We're getting some real 9/11 theories here, and many Quickville residents believe that Chris arranged the building of the tower as a way to launder money stolen from his parents' credit cards. Chris was stealing money from his parents' credit cards. That's a good way to work the real life lore into the fictional lore that the trolls were coming up with, and that the naming of the tower was nothing more than a publicity stunt to leech off of Billy Mays' popularity. So yet again, we see more of the classic PVCC trolling or miscreants trolling, where they would feed into Chris's delusions and work everything into the Chris Chan fictional canon, and that's why a lot of their stuff got to be in the comics, because no one quite like them was able to play into Chris's fantasies to the point to where Chris couldn't even tell what was reality and fiction. Now you could say that the Idea Guy did similar, but when it comes to the Idea Guy, I don't like the way that he did it, and it just isn't as funny as the Miscreants. Now a lot of the Miscreants aren't really that great now, and most of them are gone completely, but I think the Billy Mays trolling was one of their best ones. And as we can see from this photo right here, this is a message left from Billy Mays' ghost from beyond the grave. It says, CWC did it. And it's an OxyClean, because Billy Mays used to promote OxyClean. So yeah, that was everything you need to know on Billy Mays, or at least the Chris Chan version of Billy Mays.
Captain's log, start date, July 1st, 2009. I am recording this video to relinquish the false stupid rumors of me having anything to do with the recent death of Billy Mays. That's such a slanderous lie. It's because somebody dies, you go blaming the nearest person. You just go blaming the nearest person. It just ticks me off. And anyway, I was actually at my cousin's wedding, Jonathan Carey, in Red Oak, Virginia. You can look him up. I was there the weekend. You can even talk to my Uncle Raymond, who lives nearby. And anyway, the cause of his death, and I'll read this to you from a printout from his Wikipedia page, and I quote, on June 29th, after an initial autopsy on May's body, Dr. Bernard Adams, the Hillsborough County, Florida medical examiner, stated that he suffered from hypertensive heart disease and that a heart attack was the likely cause of his death. I had nothing to do with it, so quit the false rumors. And anyway, as for the past statement that I did on the video on the mayorship, Billy Mays, was never the mayor of Quickville. Never the mayor. I was lying out my ass when I said that because I was being blackmailed during the Julie fiasco. Curse that little 13-year-old brat. Depressed. So, there you go. That's it. Alright? And I am thinking more about the comics. I'm drawing more. So, leave me alone. Let me be. I'm trying to find myself, trying to complete my life tasks as well, especially finding a woman to be my sweetheart. Have a good day. Peace.
Now today we are going to be reading yet again another Chris Chan article, and today we're going to be covering yet again another troll. Now today's troll is the much requested man in the pickle suit. Now just like when I was talking about some of the other trolls, the man in the pickle suit is not just one troll. I know that there is one troll specifically named the man in the pickle suit, but for this article we are going to be talking about multiple people who have taken on this identity as the man in the pickle suit. We start this article off with a quote from Chris Chan saying, "The pickle man tricked me again." The man in the pickle suit, aka the black man in the pickle suit, is the arch nemesis of Chris, whom he used to blame whenever he was tricked or conned. Oddly, even though Chris turns basically everyone that annoys him into a villain in his comics, the man in the pickle suit has been spared. Me personally, I think he was spared because Chris Chan actually feared the man in the pickle suit, unlike most of the other villains he fought in real life. The closest it got was when Clyde fought Chris using a goddamn pickle gun. We talked about Clyde Cash before. If you want to watch that video, go watch it. Clyde Cash actually did fly around with a jetpack and a pickle gun. But unfortunately, I think the only time he used that was in the Ivy comic, if I'm not mistaken, the comics that are really just considered non-canon. So the pickle gun isn't even like a thing that is even in the main Sonichu canon. Chris claims that the man in the pickle suit name may be Harold. And I don't know where he got that his name was Harold. Chris just makes shit up. Someone might have told him. The man in the pickle suit might have told him. Who really fucking knows? Origin. I don't know who that guy is, and I don't think I really would care to know. Chris Chan on the man in the pickle suit during an interview. Lord Silly Nipples is the one true creator of the Pickle Negro, which is the black man in a pickle suit. After posing as Blanca to troll Chris Chan in early August 2008 using a fake MySpace page, he made Chris believe that Blanca was indeed a black transvestite in a pickle suit by suddenly revealing a new version of the MySpace page. Ever since then, Chris feared the Pickleman, the Jew in the pickle suit. This Pickleman, at great personal risk, rescued Emily from the horrific date with Chris IRL. Whilst Emily and Chris were chatting it up and walking around the mall, the man in the pickle suit emerged from the shadows and started flirting with Emily. He ultimately won her over, stealing her from Chris, who stood dumbfounded, unable to cope with the defeat he had just suffered. He also accompanied Robert Simmons V, which is another troll, one that I haven't talked about yet, who's actually an anti-troll, to his visit to Chris Chan's church, disguised as an average civilian, meaning that he just didn't wear the pickle suit because he is just a normal guy. On the 7th of August 2017, the man in the pickle suit made a shocking return out of nowhere during the last days of the Doopy Do-Over saga. I guess that was that long ago. God, I feel old. He obtained leaked screen caps of the infamous Night Star sock puppet of her supposed private conversations with Chris. Chris had fooled absolutely no one and only helped confirm the fact that Chris was talking to himself all along. That is so fucking Chris. This proved that the man in the pickle suit might not be the pickle we deserve, but it is definitely the pickle we need. Chris followed the man in the pickle suit on Twitter a week later. This enabled him to give Chris information at MagFest was planning to hold a Chris Chan panel, which if Chris believed that, of course he believed it. Chris always fucking believes this shit. Sadly, after MagFest, Chris blocked the man in the pickle suit after finally realizing his role in Christery. Wow, it took him that long to realize it. His block message included the phrase, "You are too much trouble." Trouble? I get it. Trollable, because he's a troll and he's troublesome. Ha ha ha. I guess it's just another quickism. For unknown reasons, Chris re-added the man in the pickle suit to his Twitter follow list in 2018. On the 10th of May, in the midst of the temper tantrum, Chris tagged the man in the pickle suit and tweeted, "And you're lucky I even tolerate you. I followed you out of mutual respect." Why? Why did he follow him out of mutual respect? What? I thought he was trouble. Why did you follow him? Chris confuses me constantly. Today, at some point during 2014, the man in the pickle suit allegedly came to ownership of the Quickie. It is rumored that he operates under the name Canine. I'm gonna say Canine. If I'm wrong, you can correct me in the comment section, because you guys always do. We've got some photos of the men in pickle suits. I'm going to show some of these and then we're going to wrap this up. We see this exposed man in the pickle suit. He has a Sonichu medallion and he said, "Ha, I tricked that Chandler kid again." So this was during when they were trying to get Chris's medallion. This pickle man is nude, so I'm not showing that because I will get in trouble. YouTube will not appreciate that at all. We have the most classic look for the man in the pickle suit. This is the pic most commonly associated with the man in the pickle suit. We have this funny ass pic of a pickle alien saying that's no suit, Christian. We have what looks like to be a pickle suit that makes you look like a black man. That would probably be worn by quite a few people if it actually existed, but that's just Photoshop. We have this photo here where it says, "You can't fool me. I know your attitude. That you are the pickle man trying to get more crap on me again. Sorry, dude. You may as well tell the truth." I'm pretty sure it's a Chris Chan quote. I don't remember where it came from, but I'm pretty sure that's straight up a Chris Chan quote. And then we have this one making fun of how Chris Chan says that he's of royal descendants, and I'll talk about that in its own dedicated video later. But Chris Chan thinks that he is a descendant of the royal family of England. And so they made this little old tapestry to make fun of that. And it said, "Captain's log, the 1st of March, the year of our Lord 1018. God, I hate this. "The man donning the pickled cucumber suit has outwitted me again. Jeffrey Weston, the feeble-minded." We'll have to talk about Chris's royal background eventually. I want to do a whole video talking about that. This is called the weeaboo version of the man in the pickle suit. Oh, I get why. That should be burned at a stake. And this one is called "Who is this Cucumber Man?" And I don't know where this is from. I really have no clue. We have this man in a pickle suit, which is more accurate to the actual troll. It's a white guy, but he's got troll ears, so maybe he's supposed to be a troll. We have this pickle suit brutally mutilating children, which I think YouTube would get mad at me for that, so I'm not going to show you that one. Then we have this one with Chris being chased. Oh, he's being arrested by a man in a pickle suit. And it says, "That jerk-off looks familiar." And that jerk-off is actually the man in the pickle suit. Good for him. Good for him that he's now a cop. We have this very special man in a pickle suit. And as you can see, he has blue arms. The reason why he has blue arms is because he's protesting Sonic Boom. Because Chris Chan, during the whole blue armed fiasco, didn't like Sonic's arms being blue, so they gave the Pickle Man blue arms. How very brave of him.
It's been a long time, Chris. Chase, I'll tell you why I'm here. You see, I've had enough. Everyone has had enough. No more of you and your dates and your emails. No more sweetheart searches. No more nothing. I'm here to put a stop to it. You see, your virginity is my business and mine to control, not yours. Allow me to clue you in on a plan I've had for a while now. You see, I went out at night into the streets of Virginia. There, I found every prostitute and hooker I could find. And do you know what I did? I found each and every one of them, and I told them, I have your mugshot. If you see this man, give him nothing. He deserves nothing. You see, I spread these out. They know you before you even approach. So you see, Chris, I have all the cards. And you're just going to have to play with whatever hand I deal to you.
Surf Shack Tito, I know you. You'll get yours in your dreams, your nightmares.
Now today we are covering Surfshack Tito, one of the more infamous trolls in Chris Chan history. Now for those of you guys who don't know, I've been covering all the trolls of the Quickie, and I think that this might be the last one for now, and then I'll switch to a different Chris Chan subject. But if we're gonna end off the trolling thing for the time being, this is a good troll to end it on. We start this off with Chris Chan saying, "Goddamn womanizing, raping, trolling, stupid pickle-suited nigger." That's Chris's opinions on Surfshack Tito, apparently. Surfshack Tito, also known as Dawn, is a mysterious troll who first emerged in March 2010, almost a decade ago. His arrival was reminiscent of the rise of Jack Thaddeus in summer 2009. We already covered Jack Thaddeus. If you want to watch that video, go watch it. It's in the playlist. Like Jack, he first made his mark by hacking Chris's PlayStation Network accounts. The name Surfshack Tito is a reference to a surf shop owner in the Nickelodeon cartoon show named Rocket Power. I actually did watch that growing up, and I think it's funny that this random obscure character from this show is trolling Chris Chan. I find that to be funny. During the exchanges with Chris, most of them from Tito are ended with a Tito-styled word of wisdom. That's something he did on the show. He would sit there and give you like the lesson of the day. It was very common back then because stupid kids shows had to teach kids morals for some reason. Parents were being bitchy about it, but yeah, he decided to teach Chris Chan some lessons, and Chris Chan does need some education, so Tito is a good heart, a gentle soul. The choice to go with the name is most likely inspired by the infamous copy pasta about Tito. Based on Chris Chan's insults towards Tito in the emails and videos, it was assumed that Chris believed that the actual Tito from Rocket Power is trolling him, so Chris Chan just thinks that Tito is a real thing, and that he is in our reality, and that he decided to fuck with Chris Chan for the hell of it. That's Chris Chan's mind. And people say that Chris Chan only just recently became delusional. Chris Chan was always delusional. He's just making it more public now. However, the truth is that the image attached to the emails shows a photoshopped image of the wallflower standing next to a really dark guy. It's funny. The Wallflower is one of the people that Chris Chan wanted to try to get with, for those of you who don't know. I might cover Sweethearts next, who knows. The photo is left out of this article due to an agreement with the Wallflower. Okay, so they removed the photo from this article because the Wallflower is actually cool with these guys, I guess. The Wallflower wasn't really too bad. I guess they're like one of the more nicer of the fake girlfriends. Tito in Chris's videos. Chris first addressed Tito in a video released on the 2nd of March 2010. His comments were brief and cryptic. Chris merely referred to Tito by name, threatened him with doom in his nightmares, because Chris Chan does that. If you fuck with Chris Chan, he will haunt you in your dreams, and he will have the ghost of his past self and his father to torture you, and delivered a curse shot attack. Shortly after, Clyde Cash explained that Tito had hacked Chris's PSN account a few days prior in late February. This revelation was accompanied by another info dump concerning Chris's ongoing downloadable content spending spree. Now, the reason why Chris buys so much DLC on PlayStation is because he wanted PlayStation to win the console war. So he would buy games he never wanted to play, he would buy DLC for games he doesn't have, just to make it look like PlayStation is doing better. A week later, trolls discovered the identity of the Wallflower, throwing Chris into a flailing rage. Initially, Chris seemed to blame Clyde for the breakup of his latest one-sided relationship, but on the 14th of March 2010, he released a video suggesting that he viewed Tito as the culprit. In that clip, he declares, "Tito, listen to me, you son of a bitch. Your days are numbered," threatened involving using a Shingla? Siligla? What the fuck is that? I don't fucking know. Shiligla. I'll say it like that. Maybe that's correct. I'll get people in the comments section saying, "Oh my god, Dylan, how do you not know how to read this one word that hardly ever pops up in English vocabulary?" But it's worth it. I guess it's Shiligla. And Chris's deadly pocket knife followed. Okay, so I have no idea what the fuck that word was. Tito apparently kept up pressure on Chris throughout the next days of March 2010. On March 18th, Chris released yet another threatening video in which he accused Tito of stealing the Wallflower from him, called him a womanizing rapist and a pickle-suited nigger. Because we just talked about the man in the pickle suit, I'm gonna shill that video too. If you don't know who the man in the pickle suit or the Negro in the pickle suit is, check out that video. It's also in this playlist. And alluded to the emails he had received from Tito. Their contents unspecified, but Chris definitely didn't like them, because Chris Chan's always like that. However, since the end of the Wallflower saga, a very lesser known saga that I don't hear talked about too much, to be honest, Surfshack Tito has slipped from Chris's consciousness and has not made any further appearances in Chris's videos. He is, however, an important figure behind the August 2010 video tapped encounter with Chris at Fashion Square Mall. In August 2011, Chris returned after a hiatus from YouTube to announce that he had received documents which revealed Tito's real identity, referring to him as Don. Just like last time when he tried to dox Jack Thaddeus, I would say that this is probably not his real identity. These are identities probably given to him by the trolls to begin with, so you can call this man Don if you want to, but just know that's most likely not his real name, and Chris is just bullshitting. Chris demanded for a public apology from Tito for hacking his PSN and $1,000 among other things. So Chris Chan was trying to blackmail this man. That's straight up extortion. Yeah, Tito did some wrong things to you, but you have no right to do that to him. This is just yet again more proof that Chris Chan's a terrible person. And this is a photo of Tito, supposedly in real life, just enjoying his ukulele after successfully trolling Chris. Emails with Chris, and apparently there's a whole article on this that I'll have to read later. During mid-March 2010, Tito exchanged several emails with Chris, baiting him with regard to the revelation of the Wallflower's identity and other subjects. Their conversations revealed that Chris was unaware of his gal pal's interest in gay/fiction and was apparently willing to look past it. The quest for China trumping all other considerations, which really you should have higher standards, but you're Chris Chan, so what do I expect? The emails also feature Chris employing the word nigger, because that's a word he uses a lot, with great enthusiasm. Note the Surfshack Tito is actually Hawaiian, not a niggo. Between late August and early September October 2010, Tito resurfaced in Chris's failed plot to scam him and Clyde Cash. Their emails revealed that Chris's intentions behind destroying his PS3 and waiting at the mall. He sought a bounty of $9,000 because Chris Chan's an actual crazy person. Oh, and 1 cent. So I guess Chris Chan's a little generous there, adding that 1 cent towards his PS3 destruction. Chris, if you destroyed your PS3 because you were being trolled to do so, that is on you. Buy yourself a new PS3. No one else should have to. And very poorly attempted to cheat Tito and Clyde out of their money, and I assume that didn't work. Well, that's everything on the Tito article.
Tito, you stay away from Heather, you son of a bitch. You have no right taking her from me like that, you womanizing rapist. And if you go near her again, and I will find you. I will find you. I will cut you up. I'll beat you up. I'll knock you on your backside, stand on your gut like a log roller, and roll your fat right through your skull. Going it wide open. Because that's what you deserve, you goddamn womanizing, raping, trolling, stupid, pickle-suited nigger. And don't you dare contact me in my email again, or contact me ever. You stay away from me in contact. Don't call me. I will find you.
Now today we are going to be reading a quickie article. Today we are going to be reading about Panda Halo, which counts as both a sweetheart and a troll. I've got Jill here yet again, and we're going to be reading this. This is a really short article.
Alright. Sometimes I remember her, but I have moved on. And that's Chris. Sensitive as ever, of course.
Casey, that would be horrible for you to ignore someone being raped like that. Chris, yeah, I know, it was hard for me to ignore talking about Panda Halo's rape.
Just like a train wreck. Look at that beautiful photo we have here on the right.
Yeah, that's Panda Halo. I
Right,
can't read cursive. Can you read that?
Yes, I can actually, even though it's kind of cut off. So on the side, the
it
first
says love you. Okay, yeah, I didn't
love
realize
you,
that. Sarah.
Yep. But
Yeah.
of course, him being him, he had to sign his whole name into it.
Yeah,
So
I didn't even notice that. Like, I didn't notice that it was cut off. I thought it was just cursive and I couldn't understand it.
it was both. It was a trick.
Next book I get out. Oh yeah, that was like when he was saying he was gonna get out of the time void. Like he had to fucking spoil it right then and there.
Yep.
Look at how he draws women's boobs. I'm really confused. Like, was he trying to draw them like pecs? Did he not know how to draw tits?
Maybe she was flexing, but I'm looking at her eyes too, cause like, let's be honest, like, I don't know if she's staring directly at me or if she's staring on the sides of my head.
Staring into my soul. It's like one of those fucking Middle Eastern paintings where it's like haunted. And if you have it hung up in your house is gonna burn down. I don't like the look it's giving me. I'm clicking off.
I hate to tell you this, but I don't have a soul, so this is okay.
Sarah Cassandra Cash McKenzie, nicknamed Panda Halo, and Sarah Hart, was Chris's true and honest sweetheart in 2008-2009, making this 10 years old, who lived in southern Australia before her fiery death.
Oh, and now we have the history. But before we go over the history, I know we discussed this before you started recording. Would you like to delve into this wonderful piece of artwork?
Yes. Chris Chan says, "My Casey Panda, I have offered my honor and my feeling and my emotions true only for you." And Chris Chan has a note. And on that note, it's him proclaiming his love to her. And it's written in his own blood.
You know what I noticed, though? So on the next photo, when it's like, you know, it's Sarah, like, responding, I like how he drew, like, direct perspective, like in those VR games that we have now, where it's like his hands reaching out. But look at her. Oh my gosh, it's like her hair. It's this orange, meshy kind of...
I think the biggest complaint is, we can continue about the hair, but look at her arm. The one that's kind of like curled up. Do you remember like Scary Movie 2 where it's like...
Yes! It's the same thing. She's about to dip it into some gravy, into some pudding.
She's got like a claw. It's not even like a real arm.
Sure. Well, I mean, to be honest, if, Sonichu or Chris Chan were trying to pull the similar stunt, my arm would curl up like that too. And, she replies, he's such a wonderful boyfriend, but am I willing to go that far for him? Well, apparently not.
Am I willing to sign a contract with the devil in my own blood?
R.I.P. to this character.
I don't care how hot the girl, I don't care how much I love her, I am not signing shit in my blood. You are crazy.
I don't want to criticize this girl, but if my girl had like this kind of hairdo going on where it looked like she shaved the top of her hair off, kind of did a, how do you describe that? Like the clown
it looks like a fucking lion mane.
It's like what Tim Curry's character, the clown It had, Pennywise in the movie, basically the same kind of poof.
You can't say Pennywise nowadays. It just makes people get sexually frustrated.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend anyone. Same with the whole Star Wars thing. I'm sorry about that.
What the fuck was Chris doing with his crotch on the Sonic character? Like, what was he doing? Like, what are those lines? What's those lines on his leg too?
His crotch is about to go Super Saiyan. It's about to go to the next level, or he got some tattoos, which it looks
like
definitely
he has stretch marks.
Or his crotch is about to have a stroke. I mean, hey, ooh.
How much of this history do you want to read?
I can read the whole history thing. That's fine. Okay, I mean, if you want to read the death and all right. So, history. During the Blanca saga, Panda Halo continued to send occasional messages to Chris. After Chris realized his mistake in believing Blanca, he decided to declare his true and honest love for Panda on the 24th.
I already talked about Blanca. I'm pretty sure I already did a video on her, so this video fits in perfectly.
You did it on my goddamn birthday. How dare you?
How old were you then?
Shit. I don't even remember.
That's always a fun game I love playing, figuring out how old I was when Chris Chan was in these wacky shenanigans. Mostly I was in like 5th grade.
I was 14. This is really upsetting me now.
Crawling in my skin.
I'm crawling out of this shit. Love for Panda on the 24th of September 2008 through a Sonichu drawing, as we saw up above. Yeah. Beautiful. Panda toyed with Chris for a while, discovering how desperate he was for sex. Panda really pushed the limits of acceptable behavior, and their conversations showed just how gullible Chris can be and still is when China is on the line.
I love his line for China.
Just China. Though, it's a good code name. I mean, if you're going to give code names for things,
it didn't age well, though, because fucking Trump's our president now, and he hates Trump.
But he likes China, hey-oh! A good example is how she verbally abuses Chris while claiming that she's starting to fall in love with Robert Simmons V. Occasionally,
that's the troll who pretends to be like Chris Chan. He's kind of an anti-troll.
The anti-troll. Yes, I do remember this. Occasionally typing extremely obvious and specific insults to Chris.
I think she literally calls him a fat autistic piece of shit at some point.
It is mean, but at the same time, you would think by that...
He just brushes it off, too.
Exactly. You would have thought that he would have been like, I'm just gonna... But no, he easily passes it off. He
never stands up for himself either. It's not like, don't talk to me like that.
But
don't do that.
You gotta see the end of this sentence though. This cracks me up. He passed it off as some kind of bizarre form of Tourette syndrome.
It's okay. She's just mentally retarded. Fuck.
She just fucking typed the and see the exact thing.
That doesn't
to bizarre
work when
sex
it's typing, Chris. That's not how that goes.
This is Chris, though. He's very gullible, as we learn. He oh my gosh, or easily getting Chris to agree to bizarre sex acts, such as convincing him to have sex with a dog for her pleasure.
It had to be a collie, though. To be fair, it had to be a collie.
Like Lassie. Like Lassie. I wonder if she had him call out Lassie, too, during these bizarre sex acts. Say it, Lassie! Oh, there you go.
What is that? Is Timmy in the well?
Oh, Lassie, go find him! And then Lassie never came back. Oh, she managed to obtain the first footage of Chris masturbating, an audio of Chris talking about his sexual opinions.
See, what's
of
sad
Lassie.
is when you first see the video of Chris Chan talking about this, he's really awkward and shy about it. He's like, "The video was leaked about me in a private manner," but now it's just so fucking casual. He's just such a fucking degenerate. It doesn't even affect him.
It's like some of the past videos that we've had where you and I have discussed, like, he went from, like, hero to fucking zero so fast. Well,
Yeah,
I
he
can't
was
even
like
call
the
it
true and
hero.
honest hero for a bit, but now he's just like a fucking sad former shell of himself.
You know what I watched video-wise of him the other day? Of him pretending to smoke a huge-ass bowl of weed. And it just, it disturbed me.
Didn't he actually smoke like a huge-ass bowl of weed when he was hanging out with the Troons?
Yes, he did. Actually, it was them recording him imitating it, though. And him flickering his tongue in and out like a lizard would, just, ugh.
You don't do that. No.
That doesn't moisten a girl. It dries her out.
Until we read the Troon article. We'll get to
Oh,
that
I know.
eventually.
We do. Oh, it'll be great. So, eventually, he also sent Panda a PSP. Hey, I want a fucking PSP.
Yeah, I'm like, I'll be fucking Chris Chan's fake girlfriend. Give me some consoles. Give me a Switch.
Give me that
Chris.
shit. Damn. That was originally intended for Megan. Ooh.
Oh, repurpose.
Ooh.
It's he gives you a ring and it says for Megan. He just scribbled it out.
No, I think that's probably what happened though. Like, he probably posted earlier that he was gonna give it to Megan, and then see, this is how he rolls. It's like the hooker that he had, basically. Oh God.
Gives her a Pez dispenser from a different sweetheart.
Hello Kitty Pez dispenser. Thank you very much. You have to surprise her in style. She purported to be a conservative Catholic, challenging. Oh yeah, because conservative Catholics would want him to have sex with Lassie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Never thought that was strange. But then again, he did say that that one of his characters was Baptist, but yet they lived in a Catholic church with nuns. Well, a Baptist church with nuns, even though it makes no fucking sense.
Were they the nuns from like Monty Python, where basically we're topless? Because if that's the case, I guess that does.
Just
No,
regular nuns.
that's depressing. So, oh man, challenging Chris's views on premarital sex. Those damn Catholics ruining everything. He countered that his pastor had said it was permissible, apparently considering the fact that Panda subscribed to a vastly different theology, but completely invalid, of course, and a disturbing act of revenge. Clyde Cash flew to Australia.
That's very
and
practical.
raped. This sounds like a movie scene almost, like not a movie, or maybe an anime kind of thing.
This is why I liked old Chris Chan trolling, because wacky shit like that would happen.
This would happen. So apparently he flew to Australia and raped Panda. She fell pregnant with Clyde's child, a fact which didn't appear to faze Chris in the slightest. Now, when they mean faze, they didn't mean like he was like shocked and like worried. No, he's just like, just kind of.
He was still concerned with her living with him.
Exactly. He probably wanted to adopt the child and make the child Crystal, basically. That whole thing. Oh God. Clyde immediately and generously offered to take care of Panda and their baby in his mansion, whereas Chris subtly pressured Panda into getting an abortion, which that's so messed up. Yep. As Chris was in the middle of lecturing Clyde about forgiveness, he was in an unusually forgiving mood and actively encouraged Panda to abandon her child to the man who raped her so Panda could live with Chris in his parents' house, because that's how you entice a woman. Come here, lady.
Some of that at the end of this, just because of how fucking ridiculous it is.
And that's the thing, like, the people that don't know who Chris is, they think that this is some sort of troll, but in reality, that's just
Chris is a genuinely terrible person. Like, if the people he interacted with actually existed and the shit that was going on actually was happening, these people would be in terrible situations due to the way he treats them.
Would make for a pretty good episode of either Jerry Springer or Maury, though, let's be honest.
Chris Chan would make a great anime, but it'll never happen.
That's true. While Clyde offered to house not only Panda and their child, but Chris as well, stipulation was that Chris would have to get a job. Oh boy. and it nixed that idea, of course, because Chris doesn't want to get a job. There was also the issue that Clyde's act of rape had gotten
That'd be a
Panda
weird
addicted to
scenario,
sex.
Though. Imagine that. Like, you're living with the woman, her rapist, and you are also hooking up with her.
Well,
Like,
apparently,
imagine if that was real and he was actually in that situation. Like, how wacky is that? Living with a rapist and the woman he raped?
You know what makes it worse though is apparently Clyde's act of rape had gotten Panda addicted to sex.
Oh yeah.
That's great. Which, as a man who has learned everything he knows about sex from porn, Chris didn't at all question it, and she expressed some interest in regular threesomes with Chris and Clyde. Oh boy. In the end, Panda gave Chris an ultimatum. Talk to Nintendo to make Sonic a reality.
Where
so
did that
Chris...
come from? Where did that come from?
Who thought of this? We need to have a discussion about this, because that's genius.
Like, it's the best way to show Chris that no one gives a shit about Sonichu. I'll give him that. But that's just so out of left field. You think the ultimatum would be get a job or lose Panda, but instead it's like talk to Nintendo to get Sonichu official.
Well, to Chris though, I'm sure that this was more of a probability of happening than him actually getting a job though, to be honest. Like, he probably thought that this would be really easy to have happen. So that Chris could support their future family together, and she would gladly abort Clyde's baby and live with him as his sex-addicted, baby-spewing wife. Oh boy. Failure to do so meant that she would live with Clyde in his mansion and raise their child together. Chris, of course, wouldn't put in the effort to get the only two things he had ever truly cared about, and forfeited Panda to Clyde. Shortly after, however, he learned about the Australian bushfires.
The death. Panda seemingly ceased to exist when Chris failed to meet her ultimatum. And Chris convinced himself that Panda Halo was one of the 173 real people who died in the Black Saturday bushfires of February 2009.
What do you think caused him to think that?
He heard there was a fire in Australia, and he's like, "Oh, she lived in Australia. She's dead. That's why she doesn't want to be with me." Australia is the size of Rhode Island, basically. It's that frickin' tiny. His dad literally says this. He doesn't understand countries. He doesn't understand anything that's bigger than his town. He can't grasp it. That's why he says the nation of Quickville. The nation and the city of Quickville. Like, he thinks that there's a nation of Quickville. Quickville exists within it, but then it's still America, too. That doesn't make any sense at all.
But this is Chris Chan, and Chris Chan apparently knows everything.
But whether this is true or not shall remain a mystery forever. Chris's less than stellar knowledge of foreign geography meant the fact that the forest fires occurred about 1,000 kilometers from where Panda lived did little to inform his theory of her demise. In Sonic 9, the fictional version of Panda Halo met her demise after her building is put ablaze. And it's actually pretty tragic because, like, it says it. She hurls her Pokeballs out the window to save her electric Pokemon. Now, here's the sad thing. They never do anything with Chloe. They never do anything with Chloe, and they never do anything with Blaze Bob. But for those of you guys who've been paying attention to my videos, Chloe would be one of the made-up girlfriends that Chris would say he was with. And he named that made-up girlfriend after that character and after Panda, so it all kind of goes around. Yep. And Blaze Bob Sonichu. After approximately 15 seconds of mourning, Blaze Bob reassures Chloe that they need to move on, mirroring Chris's lack of grief after the real Panda's untimely death.
During that comic, because to be honest, I haven't gone as in depth as you have. Like, how is it, like, mysteriously put ablaze, or does somebody purposely put the building ablaze?
It's during the final conflict. It's at the same time where, like, the 4-cent garbage building is collapsing. Like, the whole town's being attacked by, like, the forces of Mary Lee Walsh.
You know what's funny, though? What cracks me up, like you said, they're never brought up again. So, thank God these two probably haven't gone through the whole dimensional merge thing. They're probably living out a great life compared to the other characters.
He'll probably bring them back. Like when people start bugging him about them, he'll probably bring them back and make them completely different characters.
Probably.
Rebirth. It only took a year for him to get around to it, but Chris finally obtained some manner of revenge against Clyde Cash for the rape of Panda Halo in a recent YouTube video. Granted, it was a complete fantasy, but then so are all of Chris's victories. On April, very fitting, because April Fools, 2010, an update to the Wikipedia, Chris published a page discussing the women he's known in his life, including Panda. There, he revealed that he no longer believed she was dead. Instead, I recently learned that she was still alive and married to Clyde, someone that actually exists and is also alive, with a healthy child. Even though my memorial dedications were apparently a loss. I wish Sarah and Clyde many happy years in their marriage. I wonder how I'm gonna retcon her to not be dead in the comics. Chris on the Wikipedia. In released emails, Chris wrote that Clyde had told him that Panda had died. What? She died again?
How do you die? Never mind. You know, some things are...
This had been a lie meant to get Chris away from her. Okay, so he faked her death to begin with.
Got it.
Even though, like, Chris came to the conclusion that she died on his own originally, but whatever. In return, Chris sought out to give Panda the PSN accounts that he had made for her and held onto for over a year in exchange for proof of this.
Alright, so here's the deal.
Photos. What the fuck is this?
Here's the deal. I want to barter with you. I'm going to barter with you with your PSN accounts. Now you show me the proof. Okay.
Are these old chats from like a...
Yes, they are. Back from 2008.
Oh god, I hate old internet. I don't want to read this.
Oh, we don't have to. I'm just looking at what it says and basically... Oh, so, of course, Chris here is, like, noted on my being internet famous and mentioned in SonichuNet and listed my phone number and Inquisition of just being friend. So oh my gosh, what an idiot. So he calls himself internet famous, basically viewing himself as, like, a celebrity, and everyone's laughing at him about that.
It's weird to see, like, the exact time and date, like, associated. Like, it's weird to see that shit. Because I know, like, this shit happens on an exact date, but it's weird to know that happened at, like, an exact time.
Exact time and second and all that. It's weird. What was I doing at this point?
It makes it way too real.
What was I doing in 2008?
This is a troll's depiction of Panda. This is a real photo of Clyde and Panda, not just a random pic off of Google.
I mean, look how happy they are, except for the baby. The baby's like, please get me out of this. Baby,
oh, Lord.
Help me now, end it now. I mean, this is pretty convincing, though.
Who is this Chad next to them? Like, I never knew Clyde was the man to wear a triangle tie. I respect him for it, but I never knew he could pull it off.
Well, I was about to say, that is some pretty suave style that he has going on there with the tie. I mean, look at that.
This looks like your classic couple. You never really see too many of these people around anymore.
Well, that's probably why the baby's having a fit. Poor child.
But yeah, that was Panda Halo.
I find out that there's been some fire going. There's been some brush fire or wildfire, that sort of stuff. Fire going on in the southern Australia area, where my sweetheart Sarah Cassandra McKenzie, Panda Halo, she was in that neck of the woods, and I haven't heard from her in like over 2 weeks. And the fire's been going on for like during the past few weeks, so I pray that she's still alive. I hope she didn't die in the fire. Sarah, if you are hearing this message, please let me know that you're safe in an email or send me a postcard. And also let me know, can I still expect you over at my house, or are you going to go to Clyde? Please let me know. Because I miss you. I worry about you. This is a long-distance love dedication to my girlfriend, Julie. Beautiful woman. Beautiful. I love you, Julie, so very much. You strike my thought at every moment, and it makes me ponder with such love and desire. I love you so much. You came from a far distance of the country of Albania. And also, throughout with respect, though I hold on to it with single hand, I respectfully remove for you, Julie, my medal, and I hold it in my hand as I tell you the truth in the video here. Oh, fair Julie, I love you so much in my heart.
Now today we're going to be doing yet again another Chris Chan video. This one's not going to be too long, but it is going to be talking about one of the most important girls in Chris Chan's love quest. Now, this girl wasn't actually a girl, spoiler alert, she was a 13-year-old boy pretending to be a girl to trick Chris Chan. Now, today we are going to be talking about Julie. Now, this is part of a bigger article, that being on Blue Spike, someone that I plan on talking about later fully. But for right now, we're just going to cover the Julie stuff to fit with the whole sweethearts that we've been covering for this month. Now, this starts with, I can tell in my heart, Julie is 19. Chris on Julie. And everybody knows how wrong he was because Julie actually turned out to be 13. And then here's the most famous Chris Chan quote, Julie, Julie. That's what he screamed when he was having sex with a blow-up doll. And this is so popular that Chris Chan still references it every 4th of July. I don't know if he'll do it this year, but he did it last year and the year before, so it's possible it'll happen again this year. Julie Milvana, born the 13th of July, 1989, was a Mulvanian Methodist. Now, Mulvania does not exist. She is not a Mulvanian. Mulvania is just a made-up country that Max made up or Blue Spike made up to see if Chris was that stupid. And he was that stupid. He actually fell for it. Even worse is that his dad also fell for it, but his dad was elderly, so at least he has an excuse. She was a Sonichu fan who became Chris's sweetheart after Panda Halo. It's very fitting because me and Jill just talked about Panda Halo the other day. Her being kidnapped by her evil brother Max led to Chris's ill-fated rescue mission to Cleveland. Now, I don't know if that's proper grammar, so I fixed it to make it easier for me to read, but her kidnap just doesn't sound right. Julie first showed up in IRC in December of 2008, suggesting the infamous tour of Chris's house video. Now, Chris ended up doing this tour of his house, and it got him in a lot of trouble with his parents because they thought that they were going to be forced to move out of their house, and they thought their house was going to be condemned because they're hoarders and they have stuff everywhere. So Chris got in a lot of trouble over that, and I'm sure we're going to do a video talking about that eventually. She later posed a ton of Sonichu questions submitted by fans, and was invited to Sonichu Girls. Now, Sonichu Girls was a forum that Chris Chan had where he thought all the female fans of Sonichu were gathering, and he thought that he could get with any of these girls, and tried to get with multiple of them. This just shows that if Chris Chan actually was handsome and people did want him, he would most likely cheat on his girlfriends or just whore around in general. As early as the 3rd of January 2009, she asked Chris what would he do if a jerk kidnapped his heart suite. He said, I would learn his demands, if any, or if he hurt her, I'd strike the jerk back. Chris did not do this when she got kidnapped. Julie also got excited by the prospect of an orgy with Chris and the Sonichu Girls. The next day it was revealed that Chris had promised his virginity to both Panda and Julie, showing that he can't be faithful and that if he was to have a woman, he would probably cheat on her. And both ladies were furious. with Julie threatening to kill herself. Ooh, shocking. And I'll play that call if I have it later. I don't know which Julie call I'll play. I'm gonna play at least one of them, maybe one at the beginning too, who knows. Later, she calmed down and moved to Ohio to live with her relatives. What the fuck? Why do you just randomly move to Ohio? I guess, whatever, who fucking cares? Ever classy, Chris suggested a threesome with Panda Halo because he's a fucking pig. Chris refused to drive to Ohio, instead insisting that Julie come to him because he's a fat, lazy fuck that can't even put in the effort to visit these fake e-girls, but later on, he would get tricked to go down there. He had to think the girl was in danger for him to actually get out of the house. And even then, he had to be convinced by the ghost of his dead relatives to get out of the house, because that's how lazy of a person Chris Chan is. He also couldn't be bothered to attack Clyde in IRC, even when he threatened Julie. So even though someone is threatening his supposed e-girl, he couldn't stand up for her, showing that yet again Chris is not a man of his principles and will always go back on the things that he says in confidence. When Chris chose Sarah May over her, Julie was crushed because Chris is an asshole. Chris apologized and then abruptly went back to talking about Vidya. I don't know what the fuck Vidya is. Clyde Cash made more serious threats against Julie, forcing Chris to upload a famous 5 February 2009 video admitting that he was gay. Oh yeah, that's when he said he was a Gabian, and then Clyde said, what the fuck's a Gabian? Say you're gay. Yeah, we already talked about that in the Clyde Cash video. Once Chris got it into his head that Panda Halo had burned to death in a wildfire, which we talked about in our last video, he began to focus even more on Julie as his sweetheart, which is pretty fucked up. The girl that you said you loved burned to death, and then you're immediately moving on without any concern, without any mourning. He just moves straight to next girl, but that's the type of guy Chris is. Chris has received a letter written by Julie, the first physical proof of her existence. In it, it details the love professed by her to Chris. That Valentine's Day, Chris uploaded a little Big Planet level, and Chris and Julie took their relationship to the next level with cyber sex. This kid actually did record Chris's cyber sex. That exists online. Have good luck finding it. I'm not linking it. Bob Chandler walked in because what the people did is Chris was having cyber sex, and the trolls called Chris's dad over and over again telling him that he was going to kill himself. So then Bob walked in on Chris, and Chris had to make up excuses for it. That also exists. It's pretty funny. If you want to find it, good luck. And the rest is history. Chris's parents didn't believe that Julie was true and honest. In an infamous video on the 20th of February 2009, Chris created a sex video for Julie with the help of his inflatable assistant Kimmy in order to give Julie an idea of what their first time together would be like. Chris's agonized cries of "Julie" would prove one of the most striking and memorable quickisms to this date, and it's actually quoted by Chris Chan every now and again. Many erroneously believe that Kimmy is Julie, even though she's not. Learn your Christory. This is not so. Chris may be the most desperate man alive, but he is not quite to the point where he's convinced himself of any of his sex dolls are real. Give it about 5 years and we will be at that point, because right now he's convinced himself that invisible people from other dimensions are real. Now, I will cover Max and I will cover Blue Spike later, but for right now, all you need to know is Julie is Blue Spike, and he ends up revealing himself to Chris later on, saying that Chris was a pedophile for talking to a 13-year-old, and if you see my "Is Chris a Pedophile" video, I already talked about this. Chris thought she was of age, so technically that doesn't mean he's a pedophile. It's fucked that he was talking to a 13-year-old boy, but he wasn't talking to him under the guise that he was 13. So yeah. And these are the pics that Max sent to Chris telling him that he was a woman. Any normal person would be able to know that these are just some fucking random e-thought from the internet, but Chris is stupid, so he fell for it. But yeah, that was Julie.
Chris?
Yeah, I came back now. I wonder what happened there.
I don't know. But should we talk with the fans for 5 minutes, and then I'll tell you, please?
I'm sorry.
No. No, I'm ready to tell you.
Okay.
This whole time, Chris, You've been having sex with a 13-year-old boy, you sick fuck.
What?
Yeah, I'm a 13-year-old boy, Chris, and you've been having sex with me this entire time. I'm gonna give all your fucking data to Chris Hansen, you fucking pedo fork. So you better get the fuck out now before I report you to the fucking feds. Get out.
Now wait a
Alright.
minute. I did not know you were a 13-year-old.
Yes, you did. They're not gonna believe you. They're gonna fucking put you away.
Yo, MC Chris, I'm gonna rap it to you, man. Listen up. I think your video you's lame as. You done copying this and that. I'm gonna screw you. I'm gonna take you to town. Who do you think you are? Eric Cartman? Screw you, guys. I'm going home. You had it all with a sweet little girl, and yet you think you promised. You done turned your back on her and turned to the trolls. You just a dang dummy. And you so chicken, you's a dang coward. If you wanna come fight me in person. Come out from behind the camera, you fool. I'll fight you anything. Pow! And I'm gonna just plain kick your ass. But looking at your body, say, you're a total wet man shorter than me. I'm a good 5'10". What are you, like a 4'8"? I'll tell you something right now. That ain't gonna let you laid. Yet you had it once with her and you laid it down. You's a big old dang stupid lame ass clown.
Today we are going to be looking at one of the most popular sweethearts that had like an 8-hour call. It's Casey. This article does have some stuff missing because apparently the internet lumberjack has cut them down. So some
due
of
to
the
the stress,
links
so
won't work. Yeah, it just won't work. But I'll read this first part and then we'll switch off.
all right.
Yes, Casey is one of my gal pals. Nothing major at the time. She already cares for this other dude. I do care about her as a friend, though, smiley face.
Cough, cough, cough.
I am sort of man who keeps his friends close to his heart and cares about them, Chris says, obviously fucking lying.
The most true and honest man on the internet there.
We have a photo of Casey here. Well, on a scale from 1 to 10, what would you give her? Just curious.
A Miss Piggy out of 10.
Oh, I'd give her a fucking a 2 out of 10, and that's being generous.
I'd give her a negative Miss Piggy divided by 2 out of 10.
God. Okay, Casey Yulia Cat Chandler. Nee Devora. Real name, Sienna Duckworth. Sienna Duckworth, that's a cool name. Was a troll who became embroiled in the conflict between her lover, Liquid Chris, who she later married, and Kristen Weston Chandler, Solid Chris. Chris describes her as having a fun, caring, kind personality, like he does with every
He does that with everyone. Jeez.
All women are like that.
And since Chris believes all women consist of nothing but these attributes, bar one, Chris never referred to her as intelligent or smart, despite her being a student for both biological and medical sciences. She was really smart. Same thing with Liquid. He was really fucking smart. Yep. Chris tried to lure Casey to his house under the false pretense that he was actually Liquid Chris. That's like so setting her up to rape, isn't it? Doesn't that seem like it?
Well,
I wouldn't say rape someone.
Rape.
Well, what did he think was gonna go on when she arrived there and it wasn't Liquid? What do you think step 2 was gonna be? That's what I'm curious.
What do you think he thought? He's an idiot.
Which consisted
of... you're so much better than Liquid Chris is.
Exactly.
Did he just think that she would have sex with him right then and there?
Yes.
Oh, you know it. Just panties dropping left and right.
That's so dumb. It seems...
Wait, how many panties does she have?
Lot to hold.
What you saying? Chris is wearing them.
Yeah, Chris too. Which consisted of numerous extremely poor impersonations of Liquid Chris, which Casey had pretended to be fooled by. I love that shit. I love that he pretended to be Liquid Chris. Liquid Chris pretended to be him, even though he's already pretending to be him to begin with. And then Chris pretended to be him, pretending to be Liquid. Fucking crazy.
It's a good troll. So good.
They had a long series of phone conversations before she cut ties with him due to the father's disapproval, and that was funny because that call, like, she made Liquid pretend to be her father, and Liquid was like a military man in these calls, and he's talking about, I had my friends die in war. It was pretty fucked up. I had to bury them. I had to pick up their caskets. And then he's like, when my dog died, I had to pick up her dog house and move it.
Can't you tell that's just as difficult as, picking up your comrades who died in battle?
Casey has a somewhat polarizing reception amongst the Christorians. On one hand, many found her high maintenance and needy attitude rather annoying, but on the other hand, she genuinely cared about Chris and really wanted him to improve, like a lot of the earlier trolls did. His lifestyle and be a healthier person. While she and her dad had a very blunt attitude, Casey frequently told Chris a lot of stuff and advice that he needed to hear. Alas, almost all of it never stuck with him. Not a shock there. A lot of
one thing that did.
I really couldn't tell you. A lot of the events that caused her to eventually drop Chris are entirely blamable on him. And
again, a lot. Name one that wasn't.
I'd have to look over every single bit of that call again to tell you anything that stuck.
I know.
Him. That's a long ass call. Date of birth, June 30th, 1983. She's 35. She's American, female, white.
American female.
Matthew, fucking fake ass father. Okay, that's all you need to know about. Who wants to read background on you?
I'll read the background.
Okay.
So, during the Liquid Chris drama, Chris became resentful that Liquid could have a girlfriend while he couldn't. So he conspired to steal her away in a series of devious phone calls. Just imagine, just like an old Tom and Jerry skit kind of with this, in which he pretended to be Liquid.
Let me ask you, because Chris would take this opportunity. If she thought he was Liquid and she had sex with him, would you consider that rape? Because that's what I meant earlier by the whole rape thing. Like, he'd fool her into having sex with him.
Yeah, I'd consider it that way.
Yeah, that's what I was
would in
talking
that
about.
way, yeah.
I think he would have accepted that. I think he would have.
How the fuck would she manage to do that?
He thinks she's that dumb.
Do some glory hole situation?
He thinks she's that dumb.
It creeps me out, because it's just...
If he succeeded and she did have sex with him thinking that he was Liquid, that seems like rape to me.
I mean, yeah.
Oh gosh.
Well, then again, at that point, she'd be just as stupid as him.
Well, yeah, true.
So I'm not even sure if I could call that rape, because at that point, she only has... Well, she doesn't only, but she has herself to blame in that.
Yeah, but it still seems like rape to me anyway.
It's creepy, and I'm just happy nobody, well, other than the hookers, been with him, so... Yeah. Anyways,
I'm not even happy about the hooker. Fuck that shit.
Oh, I know. I can't even say. Trying to seduce her by telling her that he would put his penis. Oh, this is a really seductive. I'm gonna put my penis between your breasts and come all over. Titty witty witty. He also planned to follow this act by licking his comeuppance off of her and recycling it with her. Oh. Oof.
You're not supposed to lick your own cum, Chris. That's the woman's job. Don't do that.
Sharing is caring there, Dylan.
That's
Except
gay.
when it comes to this.
That's
gay.
fucking gay.
Gay. Disturbing and vaguely homoerotic fantasies aside, Casey pretended to be fooled by his impersonation for a time until she, quote-unquote, realized it was really quick. Yes.
The true CWC.
The impersonation episode was a revealing insight into Chris's mind. Having accused Liquid of being an imposter, then he becomes an imposter himself. Dun dun dun, in a desperate attempt to seduce Liquid's girlfriend. As one would expect, Chris did an absolutely terrible impersonation of Liquid. I know, it's so funny. Even though he was impersonating someone impersonating himself. And indeed was such a dunce that not only did Casey frequently have to correct his impersonation, while pretending to be fooled by it. That's what cracks me up even better. It's like, oh god, that's so stupid. But Chris continued to believe that she was fooled by him while she was correcting him. Oh yeah, that's not what you would say if you were liquid. Oh, here, let me change it. Oh yeah, you definitely liquid
Fucking idiot.
Chris.
He's so gullible.
I know. As if Chris couldn't get any stupider. Casey often, understandably, forgot to pretend to be fooled by his piss-poor impersonation, and Chris still didn't suspect the
She
thing is
fooled
true.
him while he thought he
so
was being
badly. Oh my god. His by proxy narcissism also reared its head numerous times and ended up defending solid Chris's clothing, weight, and even his haircut. As revealed by Chris in the video, greetings to Casey's folks. Casey's parents are Mr. and Mrs. D. Casey was the middle child of her parents, a military couple. Her father, aka Solid Chris in disguise, is retired military. Her mother works in government affairs. She has an older brother, Kale, also military, and a younger sister, Kara, who was a freshman in college.
KKK.
Yeah, the true. Casey was rumored to be attending university in Washington, D.C., living nearby in an apartment with male roommates. Her family lived in the suburbs of Virginia. She majored in nursing biology. The more you know. You want to read this, True?
Yeah, sure. No one else wants me to, but I will anyway.
And then I'll
with...
I'll do Love Quest after you read Contact.
Okay.
Sounds good. Contact with Chris. On 3 August 2009... I'm just reading it that way for some stupid reason.
I hate how they structure this. I think it's like
they just randomly switched it.
I know some
like
countries.
Before,
I know some countries structure it like this.
Yeah,
but still weird.
I'll read how it's supposed to be. On the 3rd of August 2009, Chris sent Casey from Quick. On the 4th of August 2009, Chris created Quick hand-drawn original to reveal his true fat self. Casey claimed to have been very hurt by the fact that Chris tried to trick her to going into his house. What he was planning to do if she did show up on his door is anyone's
That's
guess.
what I was saying. I'm like, what was he gonna do?
I know, it's so creepy. It's so creepy.
Yeah. In all likelihood, he expected her to actually dump her longtime boyfriend for him once he proved he is the one, true, and honest creator of Sonichu and Rosachu. That or he'd put on a brown shirt and a paper medallion and hope she'd never notice the difference while he ate his own navy off of her. On a few occasions, both Casey and Chris have mentioned a meeting which took place between them. Casey seems to maintain that Chris was disrespectful and perverted during this meeting. Yeah, that's a big fucking surprise. So the account is believable to say the least.
The Love Quest. Once Liquid Chris returned, details of contact between Chris and Casey began to emerge. In Chris's dressing Liquid video, he suggested that Casey had become a close gal pal and implies that he still pines for her. Chris would later officially proclaim his love for her in the creatively titled video, I Love You, Casey, where he states that Casey and himself have been in frequent contact with each other during the period in which the Liquid disappeared. Which
the power went out. No.
which they had, except that Chris was pretending to be Liquid and Casey was pretending to be fooled by it. In 102520009 for Casey, Chris graduated to an official love quest in his desperate attempt to steal Casey from her future husband.
Oh my gosh.
The delusion would grow further in for Chris number 2, where Chris implies that he genuinely thinks Casey is leaving Liquid for him. Casey would later state outright that she only ever considered herself and Chris as friends. However, Chris being himself, he began to think that she was really in love with him, despite literally no evidence. And she went so far to make a video of him gloating to Liquid that he had won her heart. Having decided to enter a relationship with Chris, Casey uploaded an audio of herself singing the female part of A Whole New World, a romantic duet from a popular Disney movie Aladdin to YouTube. The description of the section is ambiguously sought for Chris to sing the male part in a duet with the audio. Naturally, this accumulated in the video showing a true rage of Chris,
Sinatra-esque
tones. Yep. This cemented their status as boyfriend and girl fanning romantic interest for amusement of thousands of people online.
The end of Casey. Chris and Casey's Harlequin romance continued for a while afterward until Chris got into an argument with Casey's father. It's that phone call, man. After
That's a
attempting to prove
long-ass
his
phone call.
I know it is.
Wasn't it like
It
4
is.
hours?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fucking
To prove his
ridiculous.
worthiness as a man. In the process, Casey saw how utterly messed up he was, mentally and physically, and returned to Liquid's waiting arms. Oh, poor Chris. Chris's chances were utterly dashed after he got a hold of his comic to her and learned that he was willing to go and shoot Liquid Chris. Horrified, Casey scorned Chris for his actions in a final phone call to him, never to speak to him again.
Wait.
Chris would later-
Shoot him? What the fuck is that all about?
Chris drew in the comic where he confronts Liquid Chris and he shoots him in the knee.
Yep.
He shoots him in the knee with a gun.
I know. For the reading stuff, we haven't made it that far yet, but
I
no.
don't think that makes it into the official comic. I think that makes it into one of the specials.
It might have been.
Oh yeah, that's special, all right.
But I think the specials are included in the web archive, so we'll be reading that too.
At some point, yep. Oh boy. Chris would later upload a video where his solemnity was clear. This abyssal depression lasted for about a day, of course. Just a day, you know.
That's how long it takes them to get over anything.
I know.
But everyone's always so upset. They're like, "You're bullying Chris. He's gonna be so hurt.
You're
What if
bullying.
Chris
He's gonna be
He'll
so
get over
not
it in,
really.
like, a day."
He'll go and play with his Legos and all
Be
that
fine
wonderful
with
stuff in a day. Yep. With the release of the actual final phone call between Casey and Chris, Casey reveals just how well she knows Chris, predicting that he'll have forgotten about her before long, which is true. While Chris did release the melodramatic monologue, Quick is Sad, in a video he made the next day, Chris is smiling from ear to ear. Yep, the very next day. Casey was righter than she could have ever known.
He moves on to e-girls like fucking
I know. I know.
Liquid Chris and Casey were married on the 11th of November, 2009, at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Well, that's oddly specific. It was a very small wedding ceremony with their families and a few select friends. Chris tried his best to ruin the honeymoon via receiving copyright papers, which, as you probably guessed, failed miserably. Wait, what's that about? Receiving copyright papers?
Let me see what that says. Let me see what he was trying to do here. I want to know what he was trying. Red letter CWC certified day is a video uploaded in which Chris proudly displays a certificate of registration.
Oh no!
Which he received. So he was trying to sue him for the name Sonichu. Is that what he was trying to do? He had that. He had that to prove that he was the real Christian.
Real Christian.
It says right here. The certificate.
Wait, he thought that he was still using
the real Christian.
Wait, so he thought that they were still using his name when they got married.
Yeah. He after he wanted he got this to prove that he was the real Christian.
That is so freaking ridiculous. God damn it,
I
Chris.
shouldn't be speechless, but like
I know.
I keep overestimating him for some reason.
Well, he legally owns Sonichu. Like, he can't do anything with the image of Sonichu because it's just two copyrighted things mixed into one. But he owns the name Sonichu.
Name Sonichu. Yep.
At least in the US.
I know, but it's just like I don't know. It's so weird with Chris because
he got this on like September 18th. So do you think he filed this on September 11th? And it took them 7 days to get it filed, and he got it on the 18th.
No.
So on the anniversary of 9/11, he's
9/11.
I'm gonna get Sonichu. Yeah.
Little is known of Casey at this point, despite Liquid resurfacing to help heighten the success of Asperchu.
All hail Asperchu. God damn it.
And it never got concluded. So that was Casey. Casey is one of the. She's not really too liked in the Love Quest stuff, but I like the Casey stuff personally. I like the phone call between Chris and her father, and I really like Liquid Chris Saga in general.
Oh, Casey, I just let you know, because you hung up when I was trying to say it. I'm sorry for hurting you and mistreating you. With some eyes Miss it with honest truth. But, that's fine. If you feel that your Chris will make you happy, that's fine. Congratulations on your wedding. I wish you and Chris all happiness in the world. I'll say a prayer for you for the wedding, safe honeymoon. At least I care about you, Casey. You mean a lot to me. For more than just a friend. You're very right to be happy. Guess so. See you around.
And today we are going to be doing yet again another quickie reading. Today's quickie reading is going to be yet again another person to put in the Trolls videos. So if you guys haven't seen the other Trolls videos, there'll be a playlist at the end. Go and check those out. Today we are talking about Daniel Mims. For the week, my family and I were pondering the major suspect, the dude who took that pic, which I distinctly remember seeing the camera flash while I was playing a young gentleman in Pokemon trading card game. Thus, my family came in and we found that Mims had the camera in question, but he did not take the picture. And we can see the picture right here that was taken of Chris. It's pretty blurry, but you can see the tins of Pokemon cards. And then we see an artist impression of Mims. And then we have an actual photo of Mims, which he looks exactly what I would expect him to look like. He's got a gaming shirt on. He's reading a manga, a JoJo manga to be exact. So there's your JoJo reference for the day. And he's an actual neckbeard, but at least he's got a cool afro. And then we see events, early days. Mims hung out at the game place and sometimes played Chris in card games, most notably making Chris cry after beating him in one turn in a Yu-Gi-Oh battle, which is sad, but that's not really too terrible if you actually know anything about Yu-Gi-Oh. There's a lot of decks that are built to where they can beat people in one turn, and it has nothing to do with skill. But I'm sure Chris lost because he fucking sucked. Troll involvement. When a photo of the original creator of Sonichu was uploaded to 4chan/ED in late 2007, Chris suspected Mims and brought his parents into the store for interrogation. In the private villa of corrupted citizens, Mims admitted that he did take the picture, so Chris was right all along. Chris seemed upset to have been betrayed by his gameplay's Joy Boys. Well, Joy Boys, that's the worst name for a straight guy to give his friends, but whatever. Describing learning two of the trolls were old Pokemon TCG comrades in the same league that I used to go to, had part in the creation of that damn ED page as one of the 10 worst things that happened to him in his life. Wow, that's one of the worst things that ever happened to him. It wouldn't even been that bad if he didn't keep interacting with it. On August the 3rd of 2009, Chris apologized for getting his parents to confront Mims and said, "If you will let me know what I have done wrong onto you." Wow, how fancy of you, Chris. You sound really smart wording yourself like that. "To cause you grief, I will be happy to listen and fully comprehend." That doesn't make any sense to me. In May 2012, Chris publicly provided a link to Mims' Facebook account, for some reason believing the trolls would harass him instead of Chris. Yet again, Chris doing something as terrible as the trolls have done to him, but yet no one really gives him shit about it. So for you guys who defend Chris and White Knight him, just know if Chris was able to fuck with you guys, he would. If people actually liked him, he would equally be a troll. So, yeah, just letting you know, that's the shit that he would do. Daniel Mims knows a lot about me. I have divulged a number of juicy stories with him during our card games. Do not believe his denial of any knowledge or association with me. See, this is why people don't want to be friends with you, Chris, because you do this shit when you are spiteful towards him. Lending further lunacy to his announcement is in fact that Mims never denied knowing Chris or had any reason to. He had actually been talking to trolls behind the scenes. And I think this is a drawing that Chris gave to him, because that looks like something Chris would draw. And it says Mimbo Boruto. I don't fucking get it. It's Naruto Pony, apparently. That's one of the worst things I've seen today. You may simply call him Mimbo. He has a bunch of quirky times and lines, whatever, even while he's fighting his battles. Ooh, fucking Deadpool knockoff. Mimbo will announce his traps and tricks with gusto as he activates not them, but he sighs a lot. It's obvious he has had his share of stress, yet he laughs it off later. So Chris made him a pony OC apparently, and that was Mimbo. He was one of the earliest Chris Chan trolls, one of the people that led to Chris Chan actually being like acknowledged by ED. He gave them one of the first Chris Chan photographs. Hey guys, Dylan here, and today we are going to be doing a quickie discussion. Today's quickie discussion is on JK Productions, a known Chris Chan troll. In August 2008, Chris excitingly endorsed a new blog that was supposedly the official journal of JK Productions, a company claiming to be developing Sonichu the game, showing screenshots of absurdly basic game features with artwork that was far superior than the source material, and annotated by a hyper commentary. The blog was nonetheless shrewd enough to convince some, including Chris, of its authenticity. That was until September, when, on the basis of alleged cease and desist order from Nintendo and Sega, Pickle Happy pictures of character redesigns were premiered. Sonichu was replaced by Reginald, also the name of Chris's imaginary son, an upper-class anteater eel hybrid. Rosachu was similarly replaced by an ant eel, specifically a hard gay-inspired boner-sporting ant eel. Finally, Chris Chan himself was replaced by a scantily dressed female reimagining, which he no doubt fapped over. I really do believe that could be true. Shortly thereafter, JK Productions claimed to have broken ties with Chris altogether, in disgusted protest at the spring break issue. And this is a quote from JK Productions. He certainly has a point that we should encourage women's rights to bear arms. It is advisable to keep this man a great distance from the nearest vagina. Do not be so down, for there is some good news too. You see, JK Productions has acquired the trademark for Sonichu, making him our official property. Kristen Weston Chandler Sonichu comic should henceforth be recognized as a poorly done fan comic. Laughs. Chris was left too sheepishly to admit being trolled and returned to harassing Nintendo executives. History. On August 17, 2008, Chris updated his website with a new entry, echoing the demands of his latest video, in which he calls for Sonichu fans to storm Nintendo and Sega, with the requirements that his characters be given official merchandise. He also promises the finale to this season of Sonichu, with 6 months and a new series starting next year, because that's how he sees the comics. He sees it like a show. Normally, this may seem trivial update in the adventures of Quick. However, with this post, he released a new blog dedicated to Sonichu the game, now deleted and not archived, because of course it's the Quickie, made up of mostly fan art, with a few of his own pictures accompanying updates of the game's progression, and we can see that's Chris Chan's attempt at drawing a PlayStation controller, and it is just as fucked as you imagined it would be. On the 5th of September 2008, the official Sonichu game blog revealed what many people had suspected, that it was the work of an elaborate troll, like everything Chris Chan related, in a post claiming that Sega and Nintendo had slapped production with a cease and desist order. The resident blogger offered his redesign. This is repeating exactly what had happened up there. Why? This article needs to be rewritten. That Chris would condone such radical alterations of his 100% totally original characters is enough to raise eyebrows, but a more fleeting inspection of Reginald, Sonichu's reimagining, shows that he is armed with the appendage of Chris dreads the most, i.e. a pickle. Yes, he has a pickle in his pocket. Oh, and Rosachu's equivalent has a beard and a boner. I suppose that's worth mentioning as well. A follow-up post was submitted on the 6th of September 2008, featuring a redesign of Big Quick himself. Why do you repeat this? Chris is convinced that JK Productions was not a troll, and continued to endorse their blog as the official Quick-approved Sonichu video game blog on both his website and YouTube account, until the demise of the former. What a shock. He never has the faintest idea as to what JK stood for, which is just kidding. And we can see the artwork down below. It's not really that good. I don't know why you would think that this is legitimate. The sprite work is literally just Sonic Advance. No one should have fell for this, especially Chris, but I'm not shocked. I'm never shocked. So that was JK Productions. What did you guys think of his redesigns? Tell me down below.
As far as some ideas I have upon the multiple stories, I'll give you beginnings of what I have in mind in a nutshell. First that you'll be able to you'll be able to play by default in the video game, the Sonichu game, would be Sonichu, the original Sonichu. Basically, with the opening, them being running about like Sonic the Hedgehog would, and then he finds out that Roshu's been kidnapped. So basically his story will be to go out and rescue her. And then as his story progresses, he'll get to meet all the other hedgehogs as well. But then we move on over to Roshu's story, where first we see her making her trek down to the shopping mall, and we follow her as she picks up the multiple number items she wants and needs. Like,
ooh, look at that ring! That ring's so pretty.
Yeah. And then eventually she will get kidnapped, and that will be where it will tie into the beginning of Sonichu's story. And then we go into Wild Sonichu's story. Not fully developed as what his goal is yet, but there will definitely be he'll be able to vine swing through every level. At least he'll be able to vine swing as much as reasonably possible. And then we go on to Bubbles. Everybody love Bubbles? Bubbles is the bubbly one! Anyway, yeah. She'll get more wet. All the hedgehogs will go through all the same levels, except variation. Bubbles will mostly be able to swim. Somewhat underwater versions of those levels. And a Juck, she'll be flying high, casting off wing attacks against the enemies in her story. Punchy's, he's gonna be punching down the bad guys. But unlike Knuckles, no treasure hunting. He's not a treasure hunter. He's basically just a master of the old ninjutsu and something. But he mostly punches, punch. Yeah. And then Magic-chan, he'll be similar to what Silver could do, since he is the psychic one. And yes, Black Sonichu will, definitely give him his story and his own storyline. Basically starts off bad like he did, but then he gets betrayed by Nate Cirque, who turns to Round Knock. Yeah. So anyway, they basically leaves him behind and goes about looking up his own meaning of life and whatnot, similarly how Shadow would.
Captain's log, stardate, October 21st, 2008. Well, it's done. Blanca and I, she broke up with me, because the pickle man tricked me again. A few more stupid photos. Anyway, she saw them, she got angry, she broke up with me. So, I'm sad. And the void in my heart that requires a sweetheart is open again, and it hurts. I hope you jerks and trolls who want to break us up are happy.
Because all you did was make me feel sad, depressed, and you made me crash into slumber.
Hello everybody, Dylan here. Now today we are going to be reading yet again another Chris Chan article. Now I'm going to be starting a new series, and this series is going to be talking about the sweethearts and the potential love interest in Chris Chan's life. Now today's episode is going to be like the pilot to that series, so just know that I'm going to be covering someone very minor, someone that's really not talked about too often, and someone that doesn't even really exist, well, like most of these girls anyway. If you guys like this idea and want to see it expanded further, then tell me down below after the video is over, and let's get into reading about Chloe. Now, just so you know ahead of time, there is a character in Sonichu named Chloe. This is a different Chloe. There's a little disclaimer right here. Just know this is a girlfriend that is made up by Chris Chan. And the article even starts by reassuring this. Chloe is a made-up girlfriend that Chris claimed to be seeing shortly after the breakup with Blanca. She was partially inspired by Panda Halo, but still described as a separate entity. Background. In the IRC chat in the wee hours of the 26th of October 2008, which is over a decade ago, Chris announced that he had a new sweetheart named Chloe. He stated that he had met her in mid-September and started going out with her on the 20th of October 2008. This happened to be the day that his medallions were destroyed, and we've already talked about that before when we talked about the trolls. And one day before he bawed in this video, which we might play that video at the end, who knows, which raised suspicions to why he would be depressed about Blanca if he had already met a new sweetheart. Supposedly, they ran into each other at a local GameStop, which is funny, seeing how later on Chris Chan would get banned from a local GameStop for attacking someone over the fucking color of Sonic's arms in Sonic Boom. While both of them were pre-ordering Little Big Planet, Chris Chan was really into Little Big Planet before it came out. He, for some reason, thought that people would pirate it onto the Xbox for some reason, and he was telling people not to pirate the game. I don't know where he got that notion from, but just know he was really into it. He ended up beating practically everything. He got every award you could get except for Play with a Friend, which that's the best way to summarize Chris's life right away. He got every single trophy in the game that you could get except for Play with a Friend. It's just so perfect. Chris alleged that he had his first date at a Taco Bell, which that's pretty weird. I don't really hear him talk about Taco Bell too often. After which they kissed deeply, and we know that's a lie. We definitely know that's a lie. No woman wants to kiss Chris Chan, only a hooker that he paid, and then she instantly retired because it was the worst experience of her life. Chris said that Chloe was his virgin taker. That's not really taking your virginity. Even if she had kissed you, that's not taking away your virginity. Some people go with the whole kissing virgin thing. I think that's stupid. I think that's for people who haven't yet lost their virginity. If she didn't fuck you, then she's not a virgin taker. But she's not even real, so it's whatever. And that she took his ED page with a grain of salt. Wow, she's everything you could ever want in a woman, and it's almost like you didn't deserve it, and you didn't because she's not fucking real. Chloe was formally introduced in the Q&A video of October 27, 2008, which I might play that at the end, who knows which video I'll play at the end, in which Chris nervously announced her existence. He announced that he would possibly be moving in with her after she got her own place. And this is the aftermath to everything. Here's a quote from Chris Chan. "I currently have no recollection of Chloe." Ah, you Chris Chan. And he said that apparently being completely honest when someone asked him about her. Due to Chris's unreliable short-term memory as well as inaction on the part of the trolls, after the 27th of October video, Chloe was never mentioned again. It was shortly discovered that Chris was mostly talking about Panda, and that it would later be revealed on the Wikipedia that Panda had created a fan character named Chloe Rosachu. So what he did was he took aspects of Panda Halo, which was one of his e-girls, and then gave those attributes to this make-believe girl, and he named her Chloe after one of Panda's creations. So Basically, he set himself up to fail. He named the character after a character that Panda invented, and then took aspects from Panda and made this make-believe girl. The people in the Quickie aren't super sleuths, they're not the modern day Sherlock Holmes. Chris Chan is just that dumb. He couldn't come up with a better girlfriend, and now he doesn't even remember her. However, he was never pressed on the fact that he was describing a woman completely different entity from Panda, who would later call his true sweetheart quite openly. Chloe was the first instance of Chris Chan blatantly lying about having a girlfriend, and he's done that since with Magi-chan, Mewtwo, Krizzle. He just has a bunch of made-up girlfriends now. If you can't get a real girl, just make them up, I guess. As opposed to his usual tactic of merely exaggerating the significance of an existing relationship. Say what you will about his relationship with Megan or the Wallflower, at least they were actual people. And that's right, they were people that he stalked and harassed and got really creepy over. So yeah, they were real people, alright. I kind of prefer it when he pretends to be with someone who doesn't exist that can't actually be hurt, rather than dragging real innocent people into his wacky shenanigans. A little more than a year later, in Mailbag 13, Chris honestly couldn't remember Chloe, even though she was supposedly the woman that he had his first real kiss with. And that was Chloe, a very forgettable girl, and a girl that didn't even exist. There was a pic of her here, but that pic would get me in trouble. If you want to see that pic, go to the Chloe article on the Quickie.
And for my tale, what's the status of my love life? 100% heart. Met the girl named Chloe at the GameStop where we have reserved Little Big Planet. The GameStop over in Forest Lakes. She lives around here on Dickerson Road. That's nearby. Other details I will leave discreet because I do not want to reveal any more information than necessary for there can be imposters on the internet trying to get a cheap laugh, whatnot. Oh, look at me, I'm a troll. I think I play around as a girl. Hello? Not a good idea. In Quickville, the sentence for that would be 20 years prison or $2,000 fine. Case dismissed. Oh, and also, worst punishment, a kick in the teeth.
I have sinned, and I have made a terrible mistake. I cheated on my sweetheart, Ivy. The other day when I was talking to, when I was chatting on instant message with Vanessa, she played with me, but to get me by telling me about how she was playing with herself and whatnot, and trying to turn me on. But for a while, I resisted by talking about Ivy and my promises to her, and I just didn't know how to react. So eventually, I caved in. Even though I was typing in Vanessa, I was actually shouting out Ivy.
Hey guys, Dylan here. Now today we're going to be doing yet again another Quickie discussion. Today's Quickie discussion, we are going to be covering yet again another sweetheart. Now this sweetheart is actually going to be two sweethearts because neither of them are really that interesting, and I just want to get them both out of the way. And the reason why they are linked together is because they were both made by the same troll. That troll being a guy Chris actually knew in real life, Joshua Martinez. So the first one we are going to cover is the one that actually has more shit to her, Vanessa Hudgens. And yes, I do mean that Vanessa Hudgens. And we start this off with a quote from Chris. I have Vanessa Ann Hudgens as an honest, very close gal pal, and you know very well how powerful she is as a star. Chris, delusional and naive as ever. Vanessa Hudgens is an American actress and singer best known for her work in High School Musical and for taking nude photos of herself. She was incredibly popular popular among both 9-year-old girls and autistic man children prior to her popularity completely fizzling out due to her scandal over leaked nudes, which is actually how a lot of these stars come to fall or gain even more popularity with weirdos online, like Chris Chan. Joshua Martinez used her identity to troll Chris. Chris, being the humble guy that he is, found it absolutely reasonable that a highly attractive and popular movie star was sexually interested in a fat man-child like him, which people still do this shit. They still try to get at Chris with like movie star accounts or impersonating people that Chris might like, and it does work. It still works, so Chris Chan never really learns any lessons at all. Since Vanessa told Chris she had written her own Wikipedia biography, Chris felt like that he had a righteous claim to do so as well. On the 5th of June 2009, after failing at his attempt to write his own Wikipedia biography, Chris tried to get a section on his supposed relationship with Vanessa Hudgens added to her Wikipedia page, using his now banned username, Sonichu Says We Can. I hope I said that right. Chris stated that Vanessa and I are very close friends, and we have been working together much as of late. I think that this should be mentioned in the article. His request was ignored, because of course it was. I doubt they even knew who Chris Chan was, they just know that false information shouldn't be on a wiki. The Vanessa saga showcases Chris as his most naive, with much real-life trolling by Joshua. As Ivy put it, even after all the tears, Chris began letting slip about his planned meetings with Vanessa around town. They decided to meet up at long last. Josh got Chris to go to JMU campus with a sign, and every time Chris would think that he saw her, she would disappear. Chris stressed how he didn't want to use that sign, so he decided on wearing a hat too. I guess to conceal his identity. I thought Vanessa and I could just be friends, but Josh had other intentions. He wanted to exploit Chris for money, and he would do this by going through Vanessa. Josh claimed to have very strong ties to the FBI and threatened to hack into Chris's PS3. Why didn't he just go with that route? Why even fucking introduce Vanessa when he could have just said, hey, I'm gonna hack your shit, Chris, give me money? That's an easier route, but whatever. Josh wanted to monitor Chris 24/7 as punishment for not meeting up with Vanessa, not giving her the presents she requested. I'm assuming things that Josh wanted. At TGI Fridays, Josh got Chris to pay for his meals, and he kept telling Chris that he would go meet Vanessa, which is obviously a fucking lie. But Chris, if she didn't show up the first time, why would you keep giving this guy food? Why would you keep falling for it over and over again? I don't even get how you did this one. Like, if she didn't show up the first 3 times, what makes you think she'll show up now? Every time Vanessa failed to show, and Josh would enjoy the meal on Chris's dime, obviously. Once the proposed meeting place was at JMU, Chris went there with a sign looking for Vanessa, but only found campus police, which is not a shock. While there, Chris donned a hat and tried to keep a low profile, assuming that he doesn't want to get banned from every place on Earth. In CWCki Top 10 Dedication Special, the 12th of August 2009, he admitted that he had finally realized that he had not really been talking to Vanessa Hudgens. He added that Vanessa had always used Joshua's screen name when talking to him, which is an obvious indicator that it was actually Joshua the whole time. It took Chris a while to figure that one out. On July 20th, 2013, Chris wrote a review on his Facebook page about a movie Vanessa Hudgens starred in, Spring Breakers, and that's not listed here, so I guess that doesn't fucking matter. And this is what Chris thought that was actually going to happen between him and Vanessa. I'm gonna have to blur that out in the upload because she's naked there. And now the second girl is Lori Lopez. Lori Lopez is a non-existent boyfriend-free girl whom Joshua Martinez created in order to troll Chris. An email to Anna on the 5th of November 2007, Chris revealed Lori for the first time. Joshua found a gal who is interested in me after reading about me in my MySpace profile, at least. At least, I think you mean at last, but whatever. Her name is Lori Lopez. I chatted with her through AOL Instant Messenger last night. She was really sweet, and not only did I have a great time getting to know her, but blush, I got turned on. Something you tell your other friends. I know she works at a car lot, I think, so you know and you think. Those are contradictory, but whatever. She is 23, brunette, brown eyes. She is a mix of American and Spanish, which that is not how you describe a person, but whatever. If you've watched the movie Into the Blue starring woman Jessica Alba, she is also an American-Spanish mix as well. It sounds like you're describing a breed of dog. I'm keeping the sweetheart search details on my profile until I know for certain that Lori is really my sweetheart to be. And on November 18th, it doesn't have a year. Why didn't it have a year? I guess whatever year this was, 2007. Chris sent the following image to Megan. What image? There's no image loaded here. Is it this Lori Lopez image all the way up here? Okay. This is Lori, the girl my buddy Joshua Martinez is hooking me up with. She had done it at JMU. Wait, what? She had done it at JMU. I don't get what he's saying there. That's why it has her name on it. Oh, so it's the sign for what? I don't even know what they're referring to because it doesn't show any fucking image. But oh well, I guess that doesn't matter then. It just leads to Megan.
Coming in at number 9, we are doing a distance dedication. Well, not so distant because he lives near, say, Ruckersville or Charlottesville, Dak, I believe it was. Anyway, we are putting out a dedication to Joshua Martinez, followed by one for Vanessa Ann Hudgens. Yay, don't believe his pictures of all the ladies he has on his iPhone. They're from people's MySpace pages that he doesn't even know, so he's lying through his ass. And I bet he was lying through his ass when he told me that I was talking to Vanessa Hudgens the whole time. Even though, it would have been a nice guy if I actually been talking to her for real. But nonetheless, his screen name was used for it. Every time I talked to supposedly her, it probably was him the whole time. What a dang dirty liar. I don't care if the trolls troll him.
Hey guys, Dylan here, and today we are going to be doing a quickie discussion. Today's quickie discussion is a long-awaited one on DStex, so let's get into this today on DHT. DStex is a Canadian YouTube personality who donated $1,000 to Chris in September 2015. Now, DStex is actually someone who is one of the major factors for me getting into Chris Chan. I actually really did like his bad reviews and followed it until the end of it. Like, I started watching it in 2014 and then watched every new episode as it came out until it ended. So I really do have kind of an attachment to this article and this person in particular. He gave the money through a listing on Chris's Etsy shop. So Chris was obligated to produce 100 pages of the Sonichu comic in exchange, although he failed to do so, which is not shocking. I don't know if Chris has reached that amount now. This article is majorly out of date and needs to be updated because it says that Chris quit updating the comic at a certain date, which is false. He does currently update it, but not too often. So just know he has updated it, but still not as often as he should. Chris reached the milestone in laziness on the 8th of March by going through 500 days without working on the comic. Eventually ended the hiatus 2 months later after 561 days through no involvement from DStex. Okay, let me pull up the quickie and we'll see how long it's been. It has been 28 days since he uploaded a comic. Okay, 28 days since he updated the comic. And up here we can see a picture of DStex, names Daniel Steckley, also known as DStex, and that's all you need to know. Bad reviews on Sonichu. DStex had been following Chris for years and has accounts on both the Quickie, joined February 2010 with a lengthy list of edits ending in June 2015, and Kiwi Farm joined May 2013. He first reviewed Sonichu on his Bad Reviews YouTube channel in September 2010 and would make more episodes on it over the next 5 years. On December 2015, 2015, he uploaded the last of his reviews on Sonichu, having reached the end of Chris's comic output. Donation. On September 2015, one day after Chris returned to Sonichu 11 by uploading 11 pages to his Facebook, DStex donated 1,000 USD through a donation listing in which Chris had advertised that for every $10 donated, he would make a page for Sonichu 11. DStex discussed this below in the video at 20:30, and I might play that at the end of this, but let's keep reading for now. DStex left a comment for Chris. Hello, Christine. My name is Daniel Steckley, and you don't know me, but I have been a follower of yours for some time now. What a fucking ween thing to say. For the past 5 years, I have been reviewing Sonichu on YouTube, and amassed a small following. He'd probably consider himself an influencer. You could call me a troll of yours. I wouldn't. But as the years have gone on, I have had mixed feelings about your whole deal, and then it cuts off, so I'm gonna stop right there. Chris had this to say to his remarkable generosity. Thank you! Exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. I tell you what. I'll tell you what. It's I tell you what. I tell you what. Not only will I draw you look like Seth Rogen, by the way, which no he doesn't, and put your name in this and the next book, but I will make and send you a set of 8 amiibo figures of the main Sonichu cast: Sonichu, Rosachu, Blake, Wild, Bubbles, Angelica, Punchy, and Magichan, and a Sonichu medallion, and the quick 3-piece amiibo set, me, past me, and present versions. And the Chris Chan Sonichu. Wait, what? And Chris Chan Sonichu. Okay, so I guess those are the 3 amiibos he's sending. The project will take up to 8 weeks to get the figures required and put them together. 8 weeks? Really? 2 months? What? That's fucking crazy. And I will uphold my promise / pledge for 100 pages of the donation at well. So he fucking says right there he will do the 100 pages. That's straight up said by Chris. So when this article says later that there was no stipulations, there was stipulations. Chris even knew them. He admits them right there. And from that, while everyone gets a character drawing, you've given me the idea to do like PBS and offer you a gift for each increment of donation. I will update the listing with these details later today or tomorrow. I need to make the print back cards for each character, including my 3 characters, before I can make each amiibo figure listing, as well as take a few photographs. Also, here's a little Sonichu trivia for you to share. Oh god, Chris, you just had to be stupid at the end. Free one-time bonus for you. Which 2 characters did Christine Chandler have to repose for an amiibo figures? Who would know that compared to the original prototype set? Answer: Blake and Punchy Sonichu. Who would care? And I will give personal permission to review these figures in a video after you receive them. He would do it anyway if he wanted to. I will draw today or tomorrow and mail the drawing to you after this weekend. Again, thank you so much for your generous donation. Have a great and safe day. That's not a terrible response. That's a decent response, saying I'll do what you paid me for and I'll give you a little bit of extra shit. So I don't really hate Chris Chan for that. I just don't agree with DStex donating so much money to someone like Chris. DStex commented about his donation on Kiwi Farms, which is a terrible idea, but okay. The Patreon contributed about $300, and about $900 came out of my own bank account, so he wasted $900 on Chris Chan, $900 of his own money. The numbers don't add up to 1,000 because of Canada to USD exchange rates, which is right. On November 16th, DStex received his medallion and amiibos from Chris. I finally received them in the mail. Chris promised me them for the donation. I'm going to be doing a proper video with them, which is the Christmas one, at Chris' request, but first impressions, a bunch of them had bits broken off of them in the box, which is a reoccurring thing if you saw the video we did on Chris's eBay. But the package arrived, beat the shit, so could easily have occurred during shipping. I doubt it was the shipping. Chris probably just had a dented box and then put them in the dented box, and then they broke because Chris didn't put them together right. Also, all of them except for Sonichu and Blackchu have a number 1 on the bottom. Sonichu has 43 and Blackchu has 16 IIRC. And so, unless Chris numbers like a programmer, I'm pretty sure nobody has even bought any of these amiibos except for Sonichu and Blatchu. Well, Sonichu and Blatchu are really popular characters, and no one really gives a shit about the rest of the characters, so you're probably right on that one. I'll give you that, D-Stex. He displayed them in Bad Reviews 32, a Sonichu Christmas. I was right on that. Motives and criticism. D-Stex seemed to have some remorse from gaining popularity to his YouTube channel as a result of mocking Chris's comic, saying, "I can't take back what I've done, but one specific way I can," to explain why he was personally financing the continuation of Sonichu 11. This is after he got Trolls Remorse. He got heavy Trolls Remorse and decided that continuing Sonichu would be a good way to pay off the sins that he had committed by daring to have a sense of humor. He also seemed to want to end his association with Sonichu on a high note, as he said that due to being the executive producer of Sonichu, he would be unable to review Sonichu 11 without violation of ethics, which is retarded. I don't know why he would ever say that. Although he would betray this point only a few months later. And he justified that as some of it was done beforehand, so I guess then it would still be part of the original run, but who fucking cares. D-Stex also gained criticism for his inability to review the comic without stating his own personal beliefs and political views, which the political view thing is still going on. Check out his Twitter. He's like an actual proper SJW now. It's amazing. As he called out both trolls and others for their motives, such as calling Asperchu the biggest attack on Chris due to the comic itself being attacked, and believing that Leary deserves some backlash despite it being a parody. He stated that he was ashamed of his generation due to Gamergate and used Anita Sarkeesian footage to prove a feminist point. And he did speed up the clip, so it wasn't too terrible. But the funny thing is, he's actually really similar to, and he did it before him, Quentin Reviews. Quentin Reviews is another man who would review old media, and then through his journey on YouTube, he decided that he was too mean and that he was an influencer who needed to promote positive ideas. So then he started attacking other people and calling out toxicity. It's weird how similar his story is to Quentin Reviews. And he kind of acts like Quentin Reviews now. He's also a bigger man like Quentin Reviews and was known for having a beard. So it's weird how similar these two are. His donation is controversial with Christorians, as some believe that he honestly wanted Sonichu 11 to continue and was naive about Chris's laziness. Others argued that this weenish move validated begging in Chris's eyes, which the begging videos would increase after this, and they still go on. So yes, I do think this validated begging in Chris's eyes. And I have told my audience numerous times, don't donate to Chris. Don't give Chris money. He'll dox you. He'll not use the money for what it was intended to begin with, and then he'll just ask for more shit. There's no point in giving him money. Arthur Spatchcock, in the following year, commented about his opinion on D-Stex and the donation. Arthur Spatchcock is someone who interviewed Chris before. He's actually decently known in the Chris community. I've brought this up in previous conversations, but I think D-Stex is inadvertently a master troll without truly realizing it. He gave Chris the $1,000 with no actual stipulations associated with it. No, I disagree with that, because Chris knew that it was for the comic pages. D-Stex didn't say you had to do it, but Chris knew it. He admitted it himself. He said in the message to D-Stex what he was gonna get for the money. So Chris knew what he was supposed to do. In Chris's mind, that adds up to a gift. No, it didn't, because Chris actually did see it as for what it was meant to be, and he did try to give most of what he offered, so I disagree with this. And he was in no way required to do anything remotely Sonichu related with a dime of it. Now Chris has a very real concept that his fans are willing to make obnoxious donations at the drop of a hat. He does think that now, so you're right on that. I'll give you that. While ostensibly for a good cause, D-Stex overly generous donation ultimately had little effect on Chris's finances, which is why I keep telling people, unless you've got like $30,000 sitting on the floor, you aren't going to be able to help Chris in his finance problems. Your $200 ain't going to do shit, and he's going to waste it on toys, nor his habits regarding money in general. D-Stex is sometimes used by commentators as an example of wienery and white knighting at its most insane, with copycats attempting to pay Chris large sums of money to have him perform or provide their liking, only to have very little, if anything, in return, which is true with the teen troons. It always ends badly for the people giving him money. Don't give Chris money. You will be doxxed and you will have a lot of trouble come from it. Just don't give him money. Outcome: Chris predictably failed to deliver on his end of the deal for the comics, delivering only 16 pages of the 100 promise. Now, I don't know if this is up to date. I don't know if this is a true fact. I think the comic is done now, the one that he was supposed to upload. This article is outdated, so I don't know if that's 100% true. His last upload for Sonichu 11 was October 2015, so yeah, I don't think that's true. I think that's outdated information. It is unknown if D-Stex discussed the matter any further with Chris. As for D-Stex, he went back on his word to not review Sonichu any further by uploading a video reviewing Sonichu 11 on December the 24th. He claimed that there were some remaining Sonichu I did not finance, and thus the review can still go on without violating journalistic ethics. However, that was a lie, as the review contained 16 pages Chris had uploaded after being paid by D-Stex, and he needed to review those pages, or else the story would make no fucking sense. So he did go back on his word. He should have just not reviewed it. Arthur Spatchcock later spoke with Chris about the donation and learned that he had bought a bed with it, and I'll show you that bed in a second. One of Chris's more practical purchases, but this did nothing to advance the comic. And here's his statement. Also, for everyone who wonders what Chris did with the $1,000 from D-Stex, he was surprisingly responsible with it. He actually bought a bed with it, a $600 one at that. Some of it went towards bills even. But why a bed, you ask? Because Barb and Chris had been sharing a bed after the fire, and she got mad with him one night for him spooning incorrectly. So Chris and his mom had been sharing a bed for years, and apparently she was getting mad at him because he couldn't lay down correctly. So that's why he had to get a bed. And I'll show you that bed right now. And this is Chris Chan fucking a blow-up doll on the bed that D-Stex paid for. So the money is being spent well, D-Stex. It's spent well. Chris is fucking on the bed you bought him. This is what happens when you give Chris money. In the comic, D-Stex appears as Danny Steckel in Sonichu 12 in a set of panels drawn in June 2017 at Quickville's SLGBTQ, which is LGBTQ but with Sonichu Pride Festival. Danny is greeted by Angelica, who thanks him for the generous donation to the soup hotels, mentioning that the new beds and foods were acquired by the funds. So a new bed did go to a homeless person, but that was Chris, not the other made-up people. Below are screenshots of the donation, which D-Stex had, including his announcement video. So I'll show you the photo more up close of him from the comic. Apparently that's what Chris thinks Seth Rogen looks like, and D-Stex is a Q-tip compared to Angelica. That was D-Stex. Hello everybody, Dylan here today, and we are going to be reading a quickie article. Today's quickie discussion will be on Jacob Sockness. This will be a part of the White Knight series, so hopefully you guys are ready for this. Jacob Sockness. Only if he has lost weight in that belly. I think he meant only if he had lost weight in that belly. I don't know why he put has. His profile banner is most unsettling to me, and that's Chris talking about Sockness. Jacob Sockness is a 36-year-old white knight and a fanatic of Chris from San Francisco, California, because of course only the worst garbage comes out of California. Besides showering praise that would make even Kingle blush, Sockness stands out from other white knights Nights by expressing love and sexual attraction towards him. And yes, he does actually want to fuck Chris, and it's pretty creepy. Outside of displaying his unhealthy attraction towards Chris, he is known to be an obsessive cultist, posting various tweets and other messages regarding supernatural and even sharing Chris's beliefs in that Sonichu is real. And yes, he is in this whole dimensional merge shit, so yet again, if you want to get caught up on the merge, watch my videos talking about the merge shit. It's stupid. Like Chris, he harbors delusions of godhood, even claiming himself to be the Hindu elephant god Ganesha, and calling Chris the Lord Vishnu. I got that one right. While many have pretended to belong to Chris's abortive personality cult, Jacob appears to be the first true and honest believer in the dimensional merge after Chris. Sockness occasionally comments on Chris's tweets to court him to support his delusions, and I'm actually on Twitter, and this fucking weirdo has tweeted at me before, and I ignore him every time. Never responded to a single one of his fucking tweets. However, most of his activities are based on his Twitter page, where he would make frequent and more graphic messages on his love for Chris, even inviting Chris to visit him, which is weird, and I hope Chris never takes him up on that offer. He is also known to spread his messages to other forums, most notably Reddit and Kiwi Farms. If you are a weirdo like this, you really shouldn't be going on Kiwi Farms, because they're going to fucking dox you. Occasionally, he would make videos dedicated to Chris on his YouTube account, which I'm not going to, and I think it's dead now. Jacob has already appropriated Sonichu characters in his self-made pantheon of Pagan. What the fuck is that? Extraterrestrial spirits in the mid of 2019. He gained Chris's favor as the two agreed to work together in working around Chris's June 2019 ban from eBay. So apparently he's going to help Chris sell shit on eBay because eBay keeps banning Chris because Chris doesn't actually deliver on his shit. I don't remember if I made a video on Chris's eBay, but if I did, you should check that out. I don't remember if I did. Jacob was discovered by pure chance by Kiwi Farms user Neutral. I guess that's their name, while observing the many users around Chris's Twitter post. After further digging, it was revealed that he also created a Kiwi Farms account under the name JacobJS. It was in his profile page where he accidentally doxed himself. Wow, what a fucking retard. By posting links to his Facebook page and his Tumblr blogs that reveal his personal information, like his polar opposite Michael Hertz. He is also a furry and lives in Section 8 housing with a tugboat. I am not even shocked that these mentally disabled people like Chris Chan. They probably see him as an idol. However, unlike Chris and Hertz, Jacob is a dedicated P-Mert supporter, which is Trump. Chris doesn't want to say Trump, so he actually says P-Mert. It's Trump in reverse because Chris is fucking retarded. And here's to some far-right views. Unlike the idea guys who would fill Chris's mind with such themes just for their own amusement, Jacob seems to be genuine. Sockness also controls several different sock puppet accounts to white knight himself and converse with who he claims are different people. So the guy with the name Sockness makes sock puppet accounts. What fucking coincidence that is. While it is true that some of Chris's most die-hard white knights are exposed as trolls, Jacob initially showed no hatred or amusement from Chris's activities. Rather, he displayed legitimate sense of love towards him. Evidence suggests that besides finding a kindred spirit in a supernatural believer, he is also sexually attracted to transgender people. Ironically, despite Sockness' desire to father a child with Chris, he is unaware that Chris is already in a polyamorous marriage and ended his love quest. And I did a video on that one. That's in the Sweetheart Search video. I talk about how Chris is with Magi-chan and Mewtwo and some other fucking character he made up. Despite declaring his love to Chris, some evidence suggests that his feelings are not true and honest. In his Reddit account, Jacob had lurked around subreddits for incels, flirting with them. In his Twitter page, besides tweeting about arcane rituals and complaining about liberals like any neckbeard does on the internet, Jacob expresses his close love between a His close love between a sugar daddy suggests that he is in a gay relationship with an older and wealthier man. I actually have evidence to that one. I have a little bit of evidence that's not actually shown on here. So for those of you guys who are already creeped out, shield your eyes, because I'm going to show you the photo of him with an old guy. This is him with an old man. I don't know if this is photoshopped, but it looks genuine to me. And he says, "Sweet Jabali Tishra, King of Equestria, third eye power linked to Equestria." So he's mentioning a bunch of My Little Pony shit. But yeah, that's proof that he actually might be into that, unless he's really good at Photoshop. Jacob has been known to flip-flop his opinion on Chris, ranging from sexual love to outright cursing him. It is unclear whether or not he is doing this for attention, genuine attraction to Chris, or both. When Chris allowed Jacob to access his Twitter account on July 11, 2019, that's this year, he boasted about it on Reddit, and even claimed that his Chris Kink account was an act. And here's the proof to that. He actually does say that he'll go back to his Chris Kink act right here. "I'll go back into my Chris Kink act. It is not two-way yet. What I need is an easy... What I need isn't easy for him to do, since he's been tasked with making CPU Blue Heart Holy Water." So yeah, he was saying that he'll go back to pretending to be that guy. So some of him might be exaggerated, but who knows? Who really knows? He's a fucking weirdo either way. And if you do choose to go on his Twitter account, I'm warning you now that he does have nudes of himself on his Twitter. So if you go on his Twitter account looking at his shit, chances are you are going to see his dick. So you might want to stay away from his Twitter and just get all your information from either this article, his Kiwi Farms page, or me, because you don't want to see that shit, trust me. Interactions with Chris. The sacred shoes have samples of cat and doggy DNA. Looking for the treasures of heaven, a single hair from Christine's head to put in an amulet of serious power to manifest one's dreams. This is a divine experience. That's a quote from Sockness. Sockness has spent hundreds of dollars buying items from Chris's eBays, notably buying his old shoes for worshiping purposes. And when I talked about some idiot buying Chris's shoes and then Chris wasting that money on Pokeballs, this is the guy who bought the shoes. Eventually, Jacob got too retarded for even Chris to handle. Chris blocked him on Twitter January 31st, 2019. By May 22nd, 2019, Jacob's YouTube channel had been terminated, and his Twitter account seemed to have disappeared. So if you're going to be following this man, you might want to archive his shit, because chances are it's going to repeatedly disappear. And we'll watch this video in a minute. I have other stuff I want to talk about. Still, this would not be the end of Sockness's involvement with Chris. He would create a new Twitter account named Chris Kink on the 11th of July 2019, while Chris was trying to raise funds to pay for a hotel room at the 2019 BronyCon, which is about to happen, by the way. Troll Sonichu merch told Chris that Sockness might be interested in buying bathwater, as a reference to the gamer girl bathwater meme that's going around. Chris saw dollar signs and followed Sockness, so Chris is trying to use this man for money. The Sonichu merch guy told Chris, "I was interested in buying some bathwater. The guy doesn't know I have no money to buy it due to issues with Social Security in May. Even if I had the money, Chris has to follow some exact rules to creating what I need from him. That's terrifying. I need him to make and bless some holy water with his juices in it." That is Sockness apparently talking about the holy water he wants from Chris. After establishing direct communication with Chris on July 14th, which is still happening this year, this month, Sockness tweeted that he would open a vendor account on eBay for Chris, acting as a warehouse and a clearinghouse and a middleman. Chris responded with gratitude. The next day, Chris retweeted a GoFundMe campaign by Sockness to raise $300, nominally as a shipping fund. And that is all the stuff on this article about Sockness, but something that this article didn't mention, because it is volunteers on the Quickie, you can't expect them to have everything. I picked up their Slack, and I'm going to show you some shit that they didn't mention. Sockness is obsessed with Chris, to the point where he's making a Chris Chan sex doll. This is it, by the way. It has several different masks it wears sometimes. It has a Chris Chan striped shirt, a Sonichu medallion, and a pair of pants, but it's not jeans because he wants it to be soft enough to cuddle with. And he doesn't just have this doll though, he's actually a Chris Chan cosplayer. This is him at a gay pride event dressed up as Chris Chan. This is him at the same event posing next to a Give Love Take Pride thing. You can actually see a little bit of how fucked up his teeth are. You can see that he's wearing the shoes he bought from Chris Chan, which fuels into my theory of, I think he wants to get shit from Chris Chan because he wants to be Chris Chan. He worshipped Chris Chan to the point to where he wants to become Chris. He has a similar hairdo to Chris, he has a similar shirt to Chris, and now he actually has Chris's shoes, which is just one step further in his transformation. I don't know what his medallion is made out of though, but I don't think that was made by Chris. And this is him doing Chris's pose, imitating Chris, one for one. He is literally trying to look like Chris, and he's wearing Chris's shoes in that photo. And then this is him from the front, and looking at his medallion, that doesn't look like an official Chris Chan Sonichu medallion. So I don't think he actually has a real Sonichu medallion yet. And that was everything you need to know about Jacob Sockness.
Well, here it goes. We're about to find out what is contained in this box. It is a shoebox. You can even see the line where the lid is. She just wrapped up the shoebox and sent it. The big reveal. Here it goes. You ready? 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 Here it goes. That is so weird. I don't know why they smell like bubble gum. There's no foot odor at all on these things.
Hey guys, Dylan here, and today we are doing a quickie discussion. But before we begin today's discussion, I thought I would talk about something. For those of you guys who are new to this, you may not know that this is not a reading of the article. I don't just narrate the article and then that's it. I like to add my own word to it, and yes, I do like to critique the article when it needs it. This is supposed to be a wiki. Wiki articles are supposed to have true facts about the thing that it's covering. So if I see an inconsistency, or if I see that an article is lacking stuff, I will point that out and I will tell people to correct it. I should not have to go and make my own account on this site and then correct it myself. I'm not joining their secret little Discord server. I'm not becoming part of the mod staff because I feel like I shouldn't have to. The mistakes that I point out, most of the time they are very aware of and should be aware of. This article in particular has a little stamp on it saying that it is a pair of dirty crap briefs, which means it needs to be improved. So, for those of you guys who are saying, why don't I just fix it? I shouldn't have to, and I'm not going to. I'll continue to point out the flaws when I see them, and this article is really flawed. So I'll tell you some ways that we can fix it later. But for right now, let's read the article. We start with a quote from the person who was Sarah Jackson, quote unquote, saying, "I'm single right now. I wish I had a good man to love me and take care of me, and maybe someday I could have a beautiful little girl of my very own to love and take care of." Obviously baiting Chris because Chris also wanted to have a girl. So yeah. And the person writing this said, no, Sarah definitely wasn't a troll, ... Sarah Jackson, born on the 21st of March 1981 and died October 13, 2008, was a troll and one of Chris's former sweethearts. Sarah lived in Alabama and found out about Chris through her autistic sister Rose, a Sonic fan. Of course, all Sonic fans are autistic. She made contact with Chris through the official Sonichu and Rosachu blog, which is one of Chris's old websites. The two quickly developed a good trust. Then, however, Chris told her that he had feelings for Blanca at the same time. After an exchange of emails among the three, Chris chose Blanca. Her plans to troll Chris never came to fruition after Chris rejected her. And in the emails between those two where they both were trying to win Chris over, they both called each other out for being trolls. So they both were very aware of who they were and what they were trying to accomplish. But unfortunately, Blanca one. Maybe in an alternate dimension, Chris Chan fell for Sarah and some different events happen. Who knows? That's just for you to ponder. And we end this part with one more quote from Sarah. "I'm not going to let my heart be broken anymore. Chris cheated on me, even though they weren't officially together, and doesn't even have the balls to write me back after I read his little blog entry." So Chris ghosted this girl. Chris flirted with her, and then when he found himself a sweetheart, he ghosted her. And if we look at his drawing here, he completely fucked up the feet. I had to look at that. Like, her right foot is just completely fucked. I don't know what's going on there. It's a terrible, terrible drawing. Her hand is also really fucked. It looks like she came for quick hand. Just thought I'd give a little input on that. And her hairlines extend to her hat, so that's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. But then they go straight to death, which I wouldn't have done that, but whatever. Sarah was tragically killed by Optimus Prime disguised as a truck. Chris mourned her loss in Sonichu 9, drawing her like a 40-year-old, which, to be fair, the image they gave, she looks pretty old. She looks pretty old. Let me open this image. She doesn't look that young. So Chris drawing her that old is the pick you gave him. And I wouldn't have went straight to the death. What I would have done is have a little section saying in the comics, and then talk about her comic book appearances. Her first appearance was in Sonichu 8, and we can see her here at the bottom of the page, right next to Panda Halo. He doesn't really call her Sarah Jackson, but we can assume that's her, seeing that she's drawn the same way that he drew her before. Same cowboy hat, even though they're on the beach, and that's kind of ridiculous to be wearing a cowboy hat on the beach. And then we go to this page, where he talks about her dying, and that's where he draws the truck, which is obviously Optimus Prime. It has the fucking Autobot logo on it. But yeah, that's where he kills her off. But the funny thing is, even though he says in memory of Sarah Jackson and shows her getting into a vehicular accident, which is how he thinks that she died, she wouldn't actually be killed in the comic books till a little bit later. In Sonichu 9, she appears as Miss Jackrass, which is what Chris does. He swaps the names about to try to avoid like getting in legal troubles, thanks to his imaginary lawyer, who was also a troll. But yeah, there she is. She was the teacher in Date Ed, and then her sister had to announce her death. And the reason why this is important is because Sarah Jackson, the only reason why Chris found out that she died, is her sister told him. So this is obviously Sarah Jackson. That's why her sister randomly appears, even though she's called Rita. Just roll with it. It's obviously paralleling what happened with Sarah Jackson. And the fact that they didn't even acknowledge that her sister told Chris that she died, I don't know. It seems like this could be easily fixed. Just add a little part where it talks about her appearances in the comic, the fact that Chris foreshadowed the character's death before even really introducing her, and then finally when you go to her death, talk about that her sister is the one that told Chris that she died, and that's why Chris wrote her death into the comic book. And presumably he just did it at the last minute. That's why her death just comes out of nowhere, like in the comic before she's even like properly introduced. That's what I would do anyway. Those are some ways you could improve the overall flow of this. And I wanna read a little bit from the Optimus Prime article, because I don't feel like I would any other way. And apparently, even though that Chris drew Optimus Prime running into Sarah and killing her, he didn't see him as a bad guy. He didn't see like Optimus Prime as responsible. Apparently Chris just needed a truck, and that was the only thing he could think of drawing. So it's very weird. And people have theorized that Optimus Prime killed her because he knew she was a troll and a secret agent against Chris. And I like that theory, and I like that they captioned the photo, "You got the touch, you got the power," which is the song that Chris Chan sung from the Transformers movie. Just thought I'd talk about that because it's funny. And that was everything involving Sarah Jackson.
Citizens of the internet, my name is Robert Simmons V, better known as Sonichu Fan 1985. The reason I am talking is I want to talk about my fan, my hero, Sonichu. I also want to talk about China and dice. Because few people make fun of him when he was saying that, though. But see, Chris Weston Chandler is a good Christian. He said China because he talked about vagina, okay? But see, he's a good person, didn't want to say that, because it's a nasty, dirty word, okay? Dr. Kinsey talked about that. So, I want you to know, he said vagina, you dumb dorks, you robot jerks. And if you ever try to hurt him again, I will crush you with my powers of the internet.
Hello everybody, Dylan here. Now, today we are going to be doing a quickie discussion. Robert Simmons V. Robert Simmons V was born 1985, aka Sonichu 1985, Solidus Chris. Solidus Chris is a nickname that he goes by. Was an anti-troll. For those of you guys who don't know, an anti-troll is someone who will partake in trolling activities and hang out with trolls, but he's actually trying to mess with the trolls. He's messing with the trolls and trying to bother them while also participating in their trolling activities. Who befriended Christian Weston Chandler on YouTube in 2008 and 2009. He put on his act copying Aspie traits with a Sonichu medallion of his own. Really just a classic Sonic colored yellow with no Sonichu tail. Talked in a loud monotone voice, liked Sailor Moon, and very kindly wished that Christian Weston Chandler would also have Sailor Moon for a daughter, and performed a song he wrote for Chris Chan, complete with a sequence in which he heroically smote to death ED and the Robotnik jerks, which I don't know what Robotnik jerks are. What the fuck is that? Let's take a look at what oh, I guess it's another name for jerk op. I guess that's his name for jerk ops. The events that took place in Robert Simmons' life also coincided with Christian's life, from account hacking to getting his medallion taken. Robert Simmons seemed to have a slightly disturbed relationship with his sinister cousin, Andrew Simmons I. And if we look at Robert Simmons and pay attention to what he actually did as trolling, we can see that he's actually a precursor for Liquid Chris. And it's funny because one of the names he went by was Solidus Chris. Chances are some of the trolls that were involved in this decided to recycle this into the Liquid Chris arc. So when I do inevitably talk about Liquid Chris for the trolling stuff, just know I'll be talking about very similar things that this guy is doing. Who is not a good actor that seems to parallel Chris's own femdom / male sub kink. Robert Simmons V also appeared in Sonichu issue 7 in the radio interview with Jiggly Ami. By the 21st of February 2009, Robert Simmons V had taken down all of his videos and changed his profile to announce, "I decided to remove all of my videos because I have come to the realization that Mr. Christian Weston Chandler is a horrible person. It took me a while to understand that Encyclopedia Dramatica did not slander Chris, but rather was telling the truth. From lying to his fans about Nintendo deal to all of his perverted ways. I cannot bring myself to be a fan of his comics anymore. Not to mention, he doesn't bother to update anymore. My only regret in this whole ordeal is that I wasted my time trying to defend such a self-centered, arrogant, sexist, homophobic asshole." Wow, that's a very modern day feminist talking point, but whatever. "As my cousin said it himself about Chris, what a selfish cow. Bottom line, lose some fucking weight, god damn it." Robert later claimed that these were not actually his true and honest words, but rather those of Clyde Cash, who hacked into his account, and he actually did work with Clyde Cash behind the scenes, so that's probably why he said that. Church visit, and apparently there's more of this, and that's the church audio. I might play some of that at the end of the video. I don't know. I'll play a couple of videos so you'll understand who this guy is. On the 15th of March 2009, days before the Emily date, I don't know if I did a video on that yet, Robert and another troll drove to Chris's church uninvited. Robert goes up to Chris while the other troll remains in the background, introducing himself with, "Hi, I'm Robert." Chris recognizes him and they start talking. Robert accompanies Chris to church. Highlights from the audio includes trolls, Chris's sweetheart search, Family Guy, and homosexuality. Now, the funny thing is, when he met Chris in the church, he didn't actually use his Robert voice. Usually when he would do his videos, he had a weird voice that he would do to try to sound like Chris Chan. But when he met Chris in church, he talked normally, and Chris didn't seem to notice this at all. and just was perfectly fine with it. And he ended up talking to Chris's dad more than anything. He didn't really even talk to Chris too much. So if you decide to listen to the full audio, it'll be a lot of him talking to Bob. And this is Robert's appearance in the comics, and it says Robert Simmons V appears in Sonichu 9, as does Blaze Bob Sonichu, who was inspired by Robert. Oh, I didn't know that Blaze Bob was inspired by him. That's one of Panda Halo's creations. I don't remember if it is. But yeah, this is what he looked like in the Sonichu comics. And I want to look at this second one because I think he has a katana. He does. He has a fucking katana. Way to make him a giant fucking neckbeard, Chris. And that was everything on Robert Simmons V. Hopefully you guys learned something today. If you learned something, then hit that like button. If you really like this video, then share it. And if you want to see more, then subscribe. Thank you guys for watching, and bye.
I actually, you know, I think that, like, people might be pissed when they're hearing this shit, because, like, I actually talked more to Bob, because he was interesting as fuck, though, and, like, you know, telling me about, like, the Commodore 64, and how apparently, like, before fucking Chris could speak, he was playing video games, though. Yeah. And how, according to him, 124 levels trying to get to Koopa, and he talked about Yoshi's Island. Like, dude, you're talking about fucking 4 different games, dumbass. But whatever, you know, he's old. I do the same thing with my grandma. Like, whatever, Grandma. Yeah, Japan's awesome, right?